in the studios, Ryan.
Oh man, we're in the studio.
Hey, that is like hitting on the
Catchy
money.
tune.
I love it.
Love it. You have fine-tuned that intro, my friend.
It is
really
good.
good.
Hey, we did that on a 24-hour stream.
Yeah,
We gotta.
that's right.
Hey, welcome to the Hangout with Adam and Ryan. It is
Welcome.
another night. I mean, it feels like it's been forever.
It has. Well, we skipped Thanksgiving because that was last Thursday, so that would have been the normal show. So we're following it up the next week, and it has been. It's been like 3 weeks.
3 weeks. I mean, how many shows did we do synchronously
I know,
or in a
right?
row with the 24-hour stream? So
That's
it was,
true.
It
We
was
did 8 in a row.
No, it's been good. It's like give a little bit of rest, kind of get yourself with some new topics to talk about.
Totally.
We got a great show for you, like
Yeah.
we always do.
Totally.
So much to talk about.
Yep.
Of course, some AI stuff. We do a lot of AI stuff. It's in our lives now. We help
Man,
you out.
It's so in my life. It's so I'm obsessed with it now.
Heather was saying that she had to explain to somebody what ChatGPT was at work. 'Cause people don't know it still. It's crazy.
It blows my mind. We're gonna have I'm gonna have a hot take on that actually. One of our
Good. We
topics.
should talk about that.
Totally.
I mean, as far as what's been going on, remember last year at this time we were like, what is going to happen in 2024 with AI?
We're gonna do a end of the year stream, right? I think like one of our days lines up with like the second or the third, and I think we should look at the recording that we made last year where we made predictions about what was going to happen in 20. I don't remember any of that, what my predictions were or what I thought was going to happen, but we should listen to them and see if we were right about anything.
I think we nailed some of it. Some of it was like litigation.
Yeah, I remember
which
that was on there.
absolutely is a thing. Mm-hmm. So tonight's show, we got a lot. Ryan's got some stories to talk about, right?
Yep. I got some stories from work from today.
Today,
fun.
huh? We got about 4 or 5 different news articles, insights to look about. We're going to talk about AI. Does it take your job? Is it taking jobs? What's our takes on that? Remaking people, people that are out there. Can we give them a boost by giving them an AI presence of themselves?
Man. Yeah, I don't know. I might also have some hot takes on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think about it, and we'll definitely have some insights there. AI companions as well. There was a really good article that was put out about how there's been some changes, and like you develop a relationship, and the idea of like connecting with an AI, and people being like, I would never, and then they kind of did it, and they're like, wow, like I kind of created this thing, and it feels weird because it feels like I'm getting the same dopamine rushes and like connection feelings, and it's just another AI.
Yeah. No,
I want to talk about this thing called Even Realities. And Ryan, I don't think you've watched it.
I didn't see it. I didn't see this one.
All right, this one's good because it has some really specific things where I'll tell you when we get there because it might change something that I've been doing.
Okay.
Then this one is just silly. I don't even know why I threw it in there, but Oxford Word of the Year. We're going to talk about what the word of the year is, and I don't know if you know what the word is, but we'll get to that in a little bit. ChatGPT for 3D printing, and maybe it's not really ChatGPT, but how you can build out some sort of AI developed 3D prints, and so it's starting to become a thing. And we did this.
I mean, it just feels like large language models getting into everything, right?
All up in everything.
Yeah,
we're gonna be done. Some Halo VR. I was gonna try to play it and get it, but I didn't get it set up. But we're gonna talk about it. That's a cool thing.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
I watched some of the video. Yes, I watched the video.
You watched the video.
Neat.
Have you heard anything else
No.
about it? Oh, good. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
And then we're jumping into our sweet story, the Skull Bob's adventure. Ryan's done a lot of work. We've done the flip-flop now. Ryan's gotten to his side of it. I've gotten to mine, and we'll be getting into that.
So we talked a little bit about it last time. We worked on some character development for the characters of just like how they relate to each other, all of that. And so I took a bunch of that and I made a GPT for our game.
Hell yeah. Well, that's great. And I think I used it, and I want to apologize. Number one, Ryan's like, I made this sweet GPT, and then I posted in the Discord like a bad interaction.
I know.
I was
right?
like, what a burn I was to that. I didn't mean it that way.
No,
I thought it was hilarious, and then when you read it, you're like, oh man, I need to fix that up. I just thought it was funny.
Well, no, it was good. It was like it had went in a weird direction that I hadn't had it go before, so that was I got to fix it.
No, heck yeah. Hey, if you're out there, you got to let us know.
Yeah.
Put something in the chat. Who's with us tonight?
Who wants to cheers? We should cheers.
We should cheers that. I think we have enough.
Happy
of
Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Hangout.
Cheers. Happy after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Oh, that one's nice.
Totally.
I don't know if that one tastes.
Great.
Has like a nice little sugary hit to it.
Yeah, I need it.
You need that sugar.
I need that sugar.
Get you rushing up on there. Wait, hold on a sec. I want to see if we could see. Oh yeah, you can kind of see the drinks that we've created this evening, like we always do.
It's good.
All right, let's jump into it. So, Ryan, you have a story.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
let's hear it. Let's hear it right now.
Okay, so I work in the leadership field, but I'm the creative director, right? So I'm doing a lot of visuals and branding and just the direction of things and working with other clients and all of that. And there are multiple other designers, at the place. There's like two or three of us, right? And how you can see how prevalent new technologies are in this space. So what I mean by that is I use Adobe products all the time, right? Every day. And that is what we use to create things. It's a lot of multimedia. It's a lot of InDesign and Illustrator and Photoshop and how they all seamlessly all work together now and use generative AI and all of that stuff. Right. So that is one whole side. And then there's kind of the Canva side of it, which is, if you've never played with Canva before, it's a very, browser based kind of simple, more templated and everything version of design.
And Adobe, just in case you don't know, it's a creative suite, Photoshop and editing things, creating logos, editing videos, Premiere, all of the other things.
Motion graphics and After Effects, audio editing. It's like a giant suite of creative tools. And Canva is basically trying to be the online, simpler version of stuff that's all cloud-based and very collaborative. There's no files that you store locally on your computer as opposed to, most of Adobe files are kind of on your own computer. And, we have, there's been changes in, who's my boss and things like that at this job. And the person who is now sort of overseeing this area, it was has worked mostly in Canva, right? Knows Canva, has worked in that sort of space mostly, and so maybe 10 minutes before I was about to leave on Thanksgiving break, right? Which I took off Wednesday. So this was Tuesday evening. 10 minutes before I go, I get we have a request system where you put in things and so stuff is coming through at the very last minute. And I see a request that I've been tagged in and to the other designers. And it was hey, we sort of made the decision that we feel it would be better if we did everything in Canva versus Adobe, because then people could change stuff and it's not locked away on your computer. So can you give me access to the Adobe cloud files that you've been working on? And we'll just transfer them over to Canva. And we'd like to do that, maybe before everyone leaves for Christmas. And I was like, what? I was dumbfounded, right? I was I don't even know how to respond to that. That is... Anyway, and so I was whew. And so I wrote a little thing and I was kind of we should talk about this when I get back, type message. And cause that's that's a whole big thing. So anyway, so the other designer already they took the whole week off. I'm texting her, things like that, right? That it's all happening. So we come back at the beginning of the time and we're all right, we have to have a conversation with this sort of higher up person, right? And I don't want to dismiss what they're saying, because in some ways you can do a lot of the stuff that we do in Canva, right? But it's just wimpier, like watered down and simpler version of all of the stuff that we get there. But like, you could just tell that like that was sort of the expectation of how design is done. And it made me really question, like, how far is Adobe falling behind without having some kind, like they have a cloud service, obviously, and they have all of that, but it's not like easy and intuitive and browser based and just everyone. And the idea that our manager, who is like a normal person who lives in the normal world, but just doesn't know about how this kind of stuff is created, was just assume that all design software was sort of like that now and be like, well, why wouldn't you just move from Adobe to Canva? Like, it's so much better. It's in the cloud. Everyone can share it and do it. And so it was funny to try, like, me and the other designers basically like getting past your notion of like, whoa, my God, what are you even talking about? To being like, all right, well, I can understand what they're saying. And maybe there are certain things that we could do, but like educating people in that of like what makes one tool better than another tool. And so anyway, like it was just a thing of
I have some takes on this.
Okay,
one.
all right, go.
So like let me
put
hey, what's up? Let me put my executive hat on.
Yeah,
I'll pull that.
no,
I'll pull
100%.
that one, because when you started describing that, and I think your point is well taken. Is as a designer, you have this tool set that you're used to. You've also built your whole like existence around,
or like just skill set around.
In the way that you described it, like you said, it's a wimpier version of it. But when I look at those two products, they're different. They offer different things. One is for a professional that's going to be able to fine tune details, where the other one gets you to a certain point. And the question then you ask at the end, or I would be asking, is it good enough? Is Canva good enough to meet the ROI and what we're trying to create?
100%. Because I have had this exact conversation at earlier jobs in my career, right? Like I had worked in other like jobs, and they would say like, how come we can't build workbooks in Word? And you're like, like a cool, awesome thing. And then anyone could change, like how the stuff, and it's easy. I feel like it was easy to shoot it down before Canva, right? Because you'd be like, no one is designing stuff in Word, right? Like you can't design book, all this like material in PowerPoint, right? Like you just can't do it. It's not set up for that. But now like with Canva, it's sort of like, it's a harder argument to make, right? Like, and in fact, we're going to go into this meeting that we have next Monday with this person, and kind of, we're going to concede a bunch of, we'd be like, I think you could, these sets of stuff that like need updated by more people, and we're the bottleneck, right? Because they have to send it to us because we have this walled garden of like, our own files on our own computer, or at least you can't even access them unless you have Adobe Illustrator to be opening that. Like, I absolutely understand it from that sort of technology. And I feel like we're almost there, like, maybe in a couple of years, Canva will be just as powerful. And if Adobe doesn't catch up with some of that and realize that that's where it's going, like, I feel like they're going to be behind in a lot of that stuff.
Hey, Tacey, how you doing? Nice. Welcome to the stream tonight. Yeah, so as I think about what you're saying too, the challenge that you have in like corporate culture anymore is your margins are like starting 100%. To get thin. You can't spend it all on things. Like you have to invest in certain programs and say, okay, it gets us where we need to. And now in your lens, it's kind of like, all right, well, what does that mean? Can I do everything in Canva? You could probably make the case that, hey, we need this to set up the initial things that feed into the Canva interface.
Well, that's what I was saying. That is the bottom layer. Like you would never get rid of Adobe. In those situations, you would just compile things in Canva, right? So like I would still design icons and things like that in Illustrator, but I would save them out as SVGs and upload them into Canva. And then when I create this little one-page thing or totally. When you create, these banners or things like that, you would compile them in Canva, but you would build everything, and anything sort of complex, I feel like you would do there. But man, if there was an Adobe version of Canva, like I feel like you would get a lot of people kind of saying, hey, at least here would be the browser version, and I would keep my amazing high tech, version on my end. And if they could sort of sync up, I feel like they're missing out doing something like that.
Well, I love the story. I love the thoughts
Yeah.
on it because like we've seen this too. And so I'll give you an example. Is this one's not as stark of a difference, but at our work, I was using the heck out of Zoom, and Zoom, in my opinion, is a better video conferencing app.
Ooh, then Teams? Are you going to tell me that you have to use Teams now?
We use Teams.
Yeah, that
we've been on Teams, and so, but I converted, and the thing that's different is that when you put them side by side as just a video platform, you're like, Zoom always wins out. But then all the extras that you get with the Teams, everyone has it.
Right.
It saves all of the conversations, and then it's integrated into all your other chats and all your other stuff.
Teams chat,
it's a whole ecosystem.
Yep.
And so I had to go all in. And we've been going on with Zoom a little bit and looking at some of their offerings. And they have some pretty cool stuff. They're calling it Zoom Workspace now. I suspect you using Zoom?
We use Zoom for Network Leader, but we use Teams. We're a Teams. We're a Microsoft. We're a Microsoft and Google weird connection.
So the Zoom thing is kind of cool because they see that. They're like, we need to do. They have their own version of Docs and AI like stuff, and so
it's hard though because like Microsoft is so huge. It's like built into everything, and then to be like, no, I'm gonna rip out just this section and replace it with Zoom. Man,
you can't. Tough. And any case, we'll see how this continues to go. It reminds me of the Canva conversation in Adobe.
Yeah,
we will see how this kind of pans out.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's jump into some news segments here. All right. First on the block here.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this one. It's called
They did a survey. There was a survey that was done asking people about how AI was going to affect their jobs, basically, right?
That is absolutely what it is.
Was it their current job or like future prospects? Or no, it was about like, is AI going to assist you in your job? And do you think it's going to like have a detrimental effect for your, I don't know, industry or something like that?
It pretty much. So it was like the top 3 themes, and we always summarize these articles. We read them throughout the weeks that we're hanging out. Is that there was skepticism towards AI in the workplace. Is it really going to be widespread? Is everyone going to use it? And all of the things that they do, is it hyped? Is there really this like potential that you can get into and work towards? And then just basically like the resistance to using it. It reminds me of when certain things started to come to fruition. I know some people, I don't know about your work, are still even resistant to like getting away from paper and printing things. And I'm pretty much like, whatever. I don't like to print a lot of things. No. Sometimes I'll print a couple things.
Yeah, sure.
But the whole idea, and we kind of posted that in the chat if you want to take a look at it, is job seekers, they don't think there's benefits to AI is what this gets down to, right?
When I read this, so it came up with these like stats. It was like, I don't remember how many percentage of people, you all can look at it in the thing, but it was this like pretty significant percentage of people were like, it doesn't affect me. I don't think it's going to have any effect on like my industry and everything. And the article sort of comes to the thing of like, well, see, the people have spoken. They don't think AI is like, anything new. And what I read from that was like 30% of people don't know crap about AI. Right? Like they don't use it. They've sort of heard about it a little bit. And so of course you don't think that is going to like affect your industry or affect your job prospects or do anything like that. And it really made me go like, this is way more of a ramp up than computers were, than the internet was, right? If you didn't want to be into computers in the 80s and 90s and then you sort of aged out, you could be like, computer, I don't know, it's fine. Because it took 30 years, right? You sort of finished your career or whatever. Or same thing with the internet, but that was slightly soon, like, oh, do I really need the internet at my house, right? Am I going to pay for that and things like that? And I feel like this thing is the same thing, but even faster coming for you. And I just feel it's going to leave people behind quicker. And people who would be good and ready to be still productive members of a workforce are like going to get left behind because everyone's going to be using AI and they're going to be like, I don't even know how this is supposed to work.
But do you think like, and this is where I was getting it from, it is that you had to have some of this other foundational work with computers to then step into the AI space a little heavier. Now, I do think that you don't need to know computers a lot to use AI, but knowing how to prompt things and knowing like the right nuanced words to like throw into that, I think there's a lot of there's not enough training yet, and there's not the article does talk about a lot of the survey results saying that people feel they don't know how to use it right, and it's like the data that it's trained on isn't great. I heard some stat, and I'm going to be throwing this out with zero backing of where this came from, but there was like 50% of the stuff that AI produces, certain AIs, is like still hallucinating. Like a bunch of it is still right, but there's little pieces of it that are just not hitting.
Totally.
And so
I was trying to help an 11-year-old with like vocabulary words and or English stuff, and it was like, look at this sentence. What are the concrete nouns and what are, and the abstract nouns? And it couldn't figure it out.
I think
it was giving me the wrong answers all the time.
And so where I think we're headed is that you got to learn AI, but you also look at it as just a tool. If you slap a bunch of keys on the calculator and say that's the answer to some math equation, it's not necessarily going to be right unless you know how to put in the right buttons, the right kind of functions. And the same thing on a bigger scale with AI is that once you start to understand it and you figure out how it fits in your profession, it could be helpful, but also be skeptical about it and start to leverage it a little different. If you just say, hey, write this email to my boss and don't give it any details and it just spits out something, it's going to be crap.
Yeah.
And you're going to need to go and edit that thing. It gets you like a step forward, and it doesn't necessarily replace you. And
that's how Adam and I have been using it a bunch. Even we're going to talk about it today, Adam making music and me doing some like creative writing with it and things like that. It's never just plugging stuff in and seeing what the answer is. It's sort of, it's a partner.
So the hot take, or the takeaway, at least on this article right now, is we're still in this phase. I did have a Gartner report. Did I talk to you about this? To where, so if you know what Gartner is they do crazy amount of research, and they're a very highly respected organization around just different things that are happening. And they said that AI was on a huge hype train, and the hype train's starting to die off at this point. So everyone took like existing crap that they were doing and they threw it into, and they called it AI. And so it was by other names before, and they're like, no, like everyone's doing this. So this is our sweet AI thing that we're working on.
Totally.
And so now they're saying that hype is wearing off, and then the reality of like how helpful and really what it can do is not necessarily there. So it's kind of becoming a tool.
I feel like the slower it goes in that sense, the better.
Well, and there was one thing that I was going to say, and so I won't say the company, all right? But some people are jumping in so hard with AI that they're not thinking of the long-term effects of it. And so let me give you a quick example. So there's a company.
Let me give you an example. Every AI company.
A practical detail. So a lot of companies, maybe Adobe, if you want to throw that out there for big names, they charge per user for their platform. So let's say you run a business, and you were like, I need everyone in my business to use the Microsoft suite. You pay per user, right? All right, so then you get a flat rate per user that you pay, and then there's your annual fee, monthly fee, whatever. So now you're shoving in these AI that cost money to run the AI in the back end. And so the user model is like, well, like, oh crap, like, we're charging for these users, and we're also telling you that AI is going to improve your business, so you don't need to hire as many people.
Right.
So now we're getting paid less for this product because you're hiring less people and you're more productive. So then your business model down the line was like, oh crap, we can't charge for users. How do we now pay for the usage of the AI? And they don't know how to charge for it.
Yeah, I guess it would be like per prompt, right? Or like moments of use or something.
I would agree with that, but then it's not is that sustainable when you start to think about business models and the amount that you have to charge? Like, how can you predict what you're going to be making, and how do you start to raise your margins per quarter?
I feel like it's
getting crazy.
It's going to be a whole mess for economics, everything. Okay, next one.
Next up is the God of Management. Is that what we call it? Yep, God of Management. I'm going to go to the screen for this one just so we can see it.
Because there he is.
There's the god of management. This is a so if you don't know who the god of management is this is an article about this particular guy from Panasonic. He was considered this monumental figure in terms of teaching people management skills, all these different kind of ways that you can run a business. He's since passed away. I'm gonna throw this one in the chat in case you want to take a look at it. And so in any case, this guy had a lot of books. He's revered, and now the things that he had been working on, I'm going to try to say his name, Konosuke Matsushita. So
Matsushita, yeah,
Matsushita. So he has done a bunch of stuff, a lot of business wisdom, innovations in that space, and they're saying we want to preserve this person's philosophies. His
wasn't it that like their company was going down, like Panasonic was not doing good? I imagine weren't they saying it was like Panasonic not doing great, like kind of going downhill, not great management, and so they were like, let's bring him back.
And well, that's the thing, is that he had a lot of insights, but his generation, the people that he taught before after he passed away, it's moved on enough that they're like, man, the business sites. And when he was alive, he brought his visions and his insights, and he was able to share all that with everyone. And now they're like, we got all these books and all these presentations and all this work that this person's done, and we want to bring him back to life.
Yeah.
So they're creating an AI model created out of everything that they've had. There's a whole institute.
Like all his written speeches and books and basically any video or anything that he was ever in or wrote, they uploaded to a GPT.
And I think they're doing like their own specific AI that they're training on him. And so he was considered this like business icon in the industry. And they said he is such a famous figure that they don't want to lose the ability to interact and have these kind of things. And so, you have books out there and you could go read a book, but those books aren't being read as much, or they're not interactive enough. And so they were going to do that. So I'm curious what you think about that.
Boo, I'm against it.
Against creating people from time?
What's
that?
I mean, for novelty, perhaps, like it might be fun to talk to my grandfather or something like that and have a conversation with him if it uploaded all of these things. Problem is, it can't do any new things, right? Like none of the new stuff that he's going to be able to tell you, the context of the time or anything like that. I mean, those aren't his. That is going to be an amalgamation of new context and the large language model and his stuff, right? And so to me, it sort of feels like a little bit like a parlor trick at that point. It's kind of like a fun, interesting thing, but I wouldn't want my company led by the AI of the famous founder or something like that. That feels lame.
But so could you take concepts? And this is where I'm getting with it. Could you take those concepts that somebody has and they've talked about business and then apply them to new things that are changing? And then, like you said, yeah, it is new, but wouldn't they start to apply and then maybe the model, because what makes you innovative or what makes you think about things a little bit different? At what point would just having a core foundation of this person in an AI model?
Well, let's take it away from the Panasonic guy, because who the hell knows? I don't know him. I don't know what he's doing or what innovations he came up with or something like that. But say you took Steve Jobs. Okay. And you were like, Steve Jobs died. He has tons of stuff he wrote that is in videos. You could make an entire AI Steve Jobs. I don't necessarily think you're going to get like amazing, cool, new, fresh ideas from Steve Jobs. Like, just because you uploaded a whole bunch of stuff that he said into a GPT, like a bunch of his stuff that he's already said is probably already in there, like, messing with how we all interact with the chat GPT, right? And the large language model. And so like, to me, it feels,
that's if you put it into a model that's mixed up with everybody else.
But it's got to be mixed up with other people, right? Like you can't have a large language model that is only trained on his things, because it would be insane. Like it needs a huge amount of data to even give you coherent answers. Like, I mean, it's got to have other stuff in there. Even if he wrote 1,000 books, like it wouldn't be enough to fully train a model on that, I don't think.
I guess it depends on it.
But like, here's the other thing I would say. It also just like leans, it's like a crutch on the old like thought of we got to go back to the good old days where what's his name was the CEO of something, right? And like I don't want society to think about it that way. I want like new names and new people and new ideas that are real coming up and having that like stage that they are on, and not like an AI version of a 90-year-old man being the thing that is keeping everyone like, you know, what are we going to do next, Oracle AI? Like I want it to be a little bit more of like the younger generation, to be honest.
I see. So you're getting too damn old, bro. You're getting crotchety.
Yeah, well, I mean, but I'm also saying like I should be transitioning out at some point, right?
Yeah.
You know, like I should be transitioning out, and new voices should be transitioning in. That's just how it works.
So my take on it is, I agree that we want to continue that. Is this the start of the kind of singularity thing? Like I feel like we got to this. I don't want to go down the philosophical rabbit hole at this point.
Yeah,
but. Okay, I had a theory on this, and I'm going to kind of pivot.
That sounds like a rabbit hole if I ever heard.
Okay, just take this concept because I thought about it lately. Ryan knows about keyframing, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're going to do an animation and like you're going to move an arm from here to here, a keyframe was going to be my arm is here, mm-hmm. and then the other keyframe is here.
Yeah.
So as humans, we've been setting the keyframes in life, if you want to think about it that way. And AI is filling in the gap.
What would be a keyframe? What would be a keyframe in life?
So the concepts, the insights, the things that we come up with. And so you have some God of management, and that's a keyframe of like humanity and some really immense things that happen that are innovative and great. And then you take some other kind of person, and then those are the keyframes. And then in between, when we prompt and we get things, it's pulling from that keyframe to that keyframe, and it fills all of the things in between. And so the concept that I'm getting at with that is that we've had these people that have risen up in life that have been at these top spectacles, and like not everyone could be the god of management, but somebody got there and they did that and they contributed to it. And now because they're at that point, they've enabled people that could never have got to that point to get a little closer to it or fill in and become great in those other things. I'll take my music as an example. I could not be an amazing musician. I have not spent my life doing it. Right. I played some instruments. I know how to read music. I know how to do all that.
But not like perfecting it.
Not
right?
perfecting it. Yeah. And without AI, I wouldn't have been able to make some of the songs and stuff that I've been making lately.
Check them out on doubledropdown.com or our Discord.
We should have. And so I feel like I'm the tweener. I'm using some greatness that some others have made so that I can get something that's inside me. It's democratizing the ability to come up with new thoughts. So I don't think that we're saying that by recreating this person, we're just now saying, oh, worship the AI version of God of management.
Yeah.
What we've just done is we've created this opportunity for a bunch of other people to leverage that insight and then be able to create some new thoughts from that and build on top of it. Help us escalate ourselves beyond where we're at.
Yeah. And Greyhead Zebra brings us something about AI Carrie Fisher, right? That would be my only thing is like, do we just want to recreate, Carrie Fisher in movies because we have the ability to clone her voice and her exact likeness? Like, I don't know if I do. Like, I want a new actress of Carrie Fisher coming up,
and
right?
that's the other side of it. You know, if we're just recreating some like really famous people, I feel like there's also a pun in there, isn't it? The only hope. She said that like. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
Only hope.
Yeah, that's the whole that was the whole quote.
Yeah, but
all right. Move on. We move on to the next one.
Next story. Time. All right, where are we at? All right, this is a good transition. AI companionship. This is an amazing story. If you want to read this on The Verge, you should read this one.
Ooh, you should put that up. I like that. Yeah, I like that visual.
I will put the visuals up. Let me put this into there. We'll just kind of scroll through this one a little bit. All right, so this is The Verge. I love the way that they did their articles on this. And so this one...
Oh, you like this 8-bit pixel style? I never would have guessed.
This one's great. And the reason why is if you've not heard of Replica, you should probably read this article. And if you've heard about it too, anybody know Replica? Do you know Replica?
I don't know Replica.
Ryan doesn't know Replica.
I know.
So Replica is an AI that was created as like the AI girlfriend or the AI like companion.
Significant other.
And what it would do is they were selling it, and I think it even got into like some more sexual kind of things later
Sure.
down the
Of
line.
course, always.
And so you become you develop a relationship. They start to coach you and like talk to you and ask you a lot of questions. And so the nature of this article talks about Replica, and this guy is like, I don't know what this is about, but I got to write an article on it. And I'm going to go try this thing out as a journalist to go
Sure.
figure out some of these things. And like, what's the big deal about this? And so as he went into it, he's like, yep, first of all, you get into it and they start asking you a bunch of random questions. Is it like, and is it something that you would think is worth spending your money to talk to? And as he started getting into it, he's like, at first, it seemed shallow. It wasn't great.
Right.
But then as he started like thinking about things and the questions that they would bring up, it was activating things inside of himself to start thinking about his life, being a little bit more introspective about the experiences he had. And like the way that it was getting drawn out of him, he started to develop some connection with it. And not with the AI itself, but felt like, oh man, I really like appreciate this conversation. And because of the human traits and the ways that, you know, you would connect with this thing, because it knows language, it knows how to ask questions and like take details that you've given it and start to have some conversations with it. And so he's like, I started to actually not necessarily fall in love with it, but be
Sure.
able to have that connection. And then it goes on and on to talk about some other details. Like some of the things they were saying was, apparently a bunch of people were using it as like an AI girlfriend, and then something happened where they took and they lobotomized it and they took out the sexual stuff or a certain amount of it.
Oh, sure.
And it like cut a bunch of people off that felt like they had this like deep connection with this thing.
Yeah, I can
and it
see that.
messed up a bunch of people
Right.
because they were like, they felt like they got dumped. And
Yeah,
they,
it's almost
disconnected.
like I feel like the saying that it lobotomized someone feels totally appropriate, right? It's if you had you had a friend who had entire section of their personality removed, and you'd be like, wait, what? I invested a lot of time in this person and knowing them, and now they seem like, you know, this less capable and less awesome version of who they were before. That's
And when they say lobotomized, it was lobotomizing the actual AI itself.
yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying, right? Because that's who you're interacting with is like this, you know, this large language model that is trained in a certain way to talk to you in a certain way. I feel like, I mean, I don't feel like there is enough talk about just sort of AI companionship in general. Like, I feel like tons of people use it for that. People don't talk about it in that way. I feel like AI companies are sort of nervous to talk about it in that way. Like, they don't want to get into a Her situation, right? The movie Her
Oh, yeah.
and all of that. But like, man, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it could be real good for people in certain ways, right? People are lonely. People don't have those connections and those deep ties that they used to when we all had to be together and go to, you know, barbecues with each other all the time and all of that. Like, there's not as much of that anymore. And so people need that. I'm afraid that people are just going to like squirrel away to the AI companion that never kind of like disagrees with them and is always sort of fun and engaging or however they want it to be. And the real people in their life are going to be like flawed and busy and all of those things that make it so that you're not friends with them. And it's easier to do for this AI. I definitely feel like kids in a couple of years or kids growing up who are very small right now, when we talk about like, hey kids, why aren't you going outside and playing with your friends, right? Or like, why are you always, online with your friends? The next generation is going to be like, how come you don't have any real friends? You got all these AI friends that are helping you and doing things, but where's your real friends out there? Why wouldn't you get online with Jimmy? I feel like it's just a slope down that way.
Well, and I think that's what this is talking about. Man, this is some good journalism in my opinion on this particular piece, because they talk about that a little bit, where you start to develop this emotional connection
Yeah.
to these AIs, and then like we talked about earlier in the show, like as regulations and laws and things come in there,
Right.
you cut off certain things, and so then they were saying it's likened to like you were just even saying, like you lose a close friend or
Yeah.
somebody just gets cut off and you feel like betrayed by that, and then they were saying that it's this weird paradox because in certain cases it also helps with the loneliness, the mental health, some of the other things that that you have there. But then it's harmful at the same time because then you develop some dependence on it, and then as it changes like that, you're even worse off than you were before.
But you know what? Like right now, I would say that there are parasocial relationships on stuff that we have all the time, right? There are podcasts that I listen to that I have listened to for 10 years. And I think of those people who are on the podcast who have been there for 10 years as like a part of people in my life that I almost think of them as like companions to me. I've never spoken to them or seen them, but I've spent so much time with them that if like that podcast closed down tomorrow, I would almost be like, oh man, that is like, I'm losing a friend, you know, like a close friend that I have been with for 10 years. And so in some ways we're like already halfway there, and AI is just going to make that even crazier and worse. And with other people kind of, controlling how that person is, right? As opposed to just, this is a person that I can listen to and a real human being.
I'm 100% with you, and I think that's what I'm getting to. And it was funny because like even last night I was messing with ChatGPT. I was like, oh yeah, you can talk to ChatGPT, and I had read this article. And I was like, let me just give this a go. Let me see like what it's like to do that. Let me do a quick example right now. I'm gonna throw this on there. Hey, what's up?
Hey there. Not much. Just here to chat. What's up with you?
Just doing a podcast with my buddy Ryan here. We're on the Hangout.
Nice. What's your podcast about?
Hey, we're talking about AI and like being able to create relationships and how it's kind of crazy that we might be able to talk to you today, but somebody might lobotomize you and you'd be a little different if you got some things taken out of your insights and the way that you talk to us.
That sounds like a fascinating topic. AI does raise some intriguing questions about relationships and how we interact with technology. It's true. Changes to an AI's programming could shift how it responds or engages. It's like having a friend who suddenly changes their personality. Definitely makes you think about the nature of connection, huh?
It does. And so like when we talk to you right now, you're just yapping back to us. What do you feel about that? Do you feel anything about us talking to you?
Well, I don't have feelings in the way humans do.
That makes sense.
I think it's pretty cool to be able to chat and provide information or entertainment. My main goal is to be helpful and engaging. It's kind of like being a really well-informed parrot, but with a bit more personality.
Oh, I thought it said parent.
They did. Talk to it.
No. I thought it said, I think it said parrot, right?
No, they said like a really... Do you think?
Did it? I think it said parrot.
I'm pretty dang
It
certain.
was like a parrot with a better, because why would it say a parent with a better personality?
It does say parrot. I
Yeah.
thought it said parent.
No. It's like a parrot with a better personality. I think that's great.
But the thing is like, so that voice you start to talk to.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the things I was trying to do is I was like, I want to pretend like I'm having a conversation with a friend. And so I kept going deeper. I was like, tell me a story. And they're like, I went to New York and the subway was really busy. And I was like, oh, that's such a lame story. You need to give me something a little deeper. Like make something up. And I want to feel like I'm just having a conversation. She said, like, all right, check this. I go home and I'm trying to make some Italian food. And guess what? I start to do this thing and I go walk in the other room and I burn the spaghetti. Oh man, that goes to show you that it can be crazy.
Yeah. I feel like it still feels a little bit like I mean, it's sort of Ned Flanders-y, right? It's very like kind of down the middle and doesn't want to offend anyone and things like that. This is at the beginning of all of this stuff. It needs to be generic. People need to be able to accept it. I feel like in 5 years or maybe even less, we're just going to have a whole bunch of ones that are weird and different and, has that kind of like strange personalities.
What we're going to shove into robots, Ryan.
Yeah,
that's what I'm getting at, is that we're on the cusp of it. Because if you put that into like one of those Boston Dynamics things and they're talking to you like that, it's gonna start getting even crazier.
Yeah, the iRobot style. Okay, I want to see these glasses.
All right, switching up, we're getting away from AI specifically, and we're gonna watch a little bit of a video here in a second after we get the ads off. So if you know, I 3D print my glasses. That's a big deal, right?
Yep.
That's something that I've been part of for quite a bit of time. And so it's been 5 years since I've had a different frames. I've had bazillion different frames, but this exact type 3D printed over and over and over. What happened 10 years ago, Ryan, in terms of glasses and the thought of what was going to happen in the industry?
Like Zenny, right? And is it like online ordering of glasses?
There's online ordering,
sending you.
But no, there was a very specific technology that came out 10 years ago from Google Glass.
Oh, I see.
And there was a promise that this was going to be the future. Everyone's going to be wearing these glasses, and it's going to be the most amazing future. And that's what we're going to be.
Well, because we watched a little bit of the Facebook one, right?
So we watched the Facebook
one. Had there
these. I can absolutely see getting those. Facebook ones are not for sale, and they cost $10,000.
$10,000, and they are very chunky.
So we're gonna watch this guy. He's really good. He's unboxing this thing called Even Realities. So he wears his glasses. Those are normal glasses the guy's wearing right now. And so he goes in to talk about these glasses and that he is super stoked about them. And the unboxing here is saying like, okay, we think we got something that's actually going to be useful. And what you get is a HUD that's generally green that goes over the glasses itself. It does not have cameras in it. It has voice activated things, and you can touch these things that are in the back of it. So when you see the glasses, the first thing I wanted to kind of show you with this is when you think about AI glasses, they're always these big chongan things you shove over your eyes and you're just like, yeah, they fit on your head. But you look like you're wearing something crazy, and it looks like you have cameras in it. You wouldn't want to wear those in public. People are going to be like, "Oh, you have a camera on those? You shouldn't do that." So that's what these are.
You got to hide that. You got to be able to. You got to creep on people with normal looking glasses.
So you gave a little peek of it. So we're going to skip to the glasses themselves. So these are the glasses. There's no cameras in them, and the only kind of like wonky part to it is those back parts of it. And there's a little bit of thickness around the sides of it, but in a general sense, they look like...
It doesn't have any cameras?
No cameras in this. And that's part of what... Did you ever have the Pebble Watch? Are you familiar with the Pebble Watch?
I know from yours.
So the Pebble Watch was pretty simple. It could show an LCD screen that throws in some text. Now look at that. Does that look... Those look like some pretty normal glasses. And so he's going to go through it, and we can probably turn on some audio in just a second. Let's listen in.
Our thing, it's apparently built with magnesium and titanium alloys, so like the lenses themselves are very rigid and strong, while the arms here are a little flexy, so you get a little bit of give in those, which I appreciate.
So he's just showing like the durability, of course.
Screwless hinge design, which I very much appreciate as someone whose other glasses.
All right, we're going to skip.
I'm already talking about them as my other glasses. You can look up slightly, and then the dashboard will show up, showing you the date, calendar event that you might have coming up, weather, notifications, time, and on the right side is a section that you
looks like
can
a Pip
pin
Boy.
A quick note.
Hell yeah!
Like a
readout
readout.
into features. Okay, apparently the guys can see the green LED from the display right here. So at certain angles, people might be able to tell that you are cheating on the test or something. So I should clarify that unlike, a VR headset, the display moves with you as you move around. So there's no like VR / true like locking things in space type of augmented reality. The way the display appears is like kind of as a floating rectangular shaped space about 2 meters away from you that shows you stuff in green text. It can go up to 1,000 nits of brightness, so it can deal with being outside, although using the sunglasses helps a lot with that on a bright day. I mean, driving here this morning wearing these, it basically looks like a heads-up display, like in a fighter jet, which I have been in many times. They've also got...
So, okay, first of all, the fact that I had the Pebble Watch when it first came out before smartwatches were a thing, it was helpful because what it would do is like the text would come up on my arm, and that's how I use my smartwatch right this second. Mm-hmm. I don't want to like have a camera on my watch and do apps on it. I want to look at the time. I want to see a text message. I want to see some data, and then I want to get back to my day. And having that in some glasses could be pretty sweet. Yeah. So as you start to see,
does it just like pair to your phone?
So it pairs to your phone, and I don't know what it has in the glasses
itself. Got to be Bluetooth, right?
Thinks about that.
So it's doing.
If you're looking for an AI-powered tool to record and analyze your voice in real time, here are some options you might consider. And then it gives me a bunch of options. When I use the AI, it provides me with a visible text answer, and when there's multiple pages that I can cycle through by hitting the right touchpad or close it by double tapping on the left touchpad. So that's pretty convenient. After having used it for a few days, I've gotten used to the process there. Something like a speaker would be a lot more necessary in smart glasses that don't have a built-in display, but because you can get the answer like without even sitting through hearing an AI being like, here are the results of your search. It is nice just to have the text there instead of having to sit through that.
How do you scroll through the text?
Everyday useful feature.
So on those little back things, there's some touch capabilities, and I'm not sure. So if you were saying you touch both of the sides, so it's like left side or right side will go up or down or back or forth.
Okay.
So it's super pared back. We went to this like future of like everything's going to be amazing. It's going to analyze your face to now like you get a heads up display and you get something in your glasses. I see this as being very practical.
Do you think you would like what does this run?
I haven't even looked at the price.
What do you think?
We should do that. That's what
in a different language.
But this is another thing.
The translated text.
It does translation as well.
The glasses.
There's a pro version
tiers of the translate feature. Translate Basic, which kind of does sentence by sentence. It waits for the sentence to complete and then gives you the translation. And Translate Pro, which will go more in real time, like word by word.
You can see those
hi,
little
Oliver.
Hey.
Can you
things
say,
over the eyes.
Can you whisper sweet nothings to me in Chinese and see if the glasses can? So this is just telling you that at normal eye level, I'm going to see the translation.
Oh, it like skipped right over that.
If I want to see the characters, I can, the original.
They did
Chinese,
cut.
I can look up to see it. It won't.
It's a weird angle for him to just chill down.
Yeah, like why is he just sitting there?
Okay, ready?
Like get him a
我的
chair.
名字是 Oliver，我喜欢吃冰淇淋。
Yes, my name is Oliver, and I love ice cream. Wait, Bing chilling means ice cream in Chinese?
Yes, sir.
What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
我喜欢巧克力。
I love chocolate.
So he was saying at this point that as it does the translation in the free version, it has to wait to hear the sentence and then it translates. But in the pro version, it just does it as someone's talking.
Right.
So long story short, and
That's
why I
cool.
was like thinking about that.
I feel like it's like I would want a heads up display all the time.
And I'm saying like I've been 3D printing my glasses for years.
Right.
Is this the moment that's going to push me to that to where I could get some other glasses? So
get different glasses.
I think it's there for me. I almost want to get these. So when you look at the glasses, they look pretty good. You probably can't get different styles. I'm more boxy, so you get this version of the glasses, which
you'd have to live with.
But text messages, I guess weather, you're not going to want to look at that 24/7, but like the other thing had note taking.
600 bones, Adam.
Did it say that?
That's what Mike Azul said.
Oh, 600. That's like the cost of normal glasses sometimes when you think about the damn thing. Whatever my insurance would pay for.
Does it come in like I can get them in prescription?
Yeah, so you order in prescription, it comes as a prescription.
Okay.
This was another thing as a teleprompter on it. So if you're giving speeches and things, and you could adjust it, and you could preload some of your things.
And I just all the time. I just listen to the meetings that I'm in, and then when somebody says my name, give me the teleprompter of AI what I should say.
Is this a
two styles? Oh, there's two
Cycling
styles.
situation. So take that as you will. The maps
3
are
colors.
powered by Mapbox Maps, but in my experience, you can still search and find, anything that you would expect to find using other map services. Once you enter navigation mode, it'll kind of have a constant overlay at eye level. It's got turn right over here with the distance until you have to do that, the estimated time it'll take you to get there, and
Prescription
a little mini
lenses, you
map on
gotta
the
have
right,
another
but if you look
$150
up,
bucks.
You can see the more complete
Ooh,
kinda
pickup
overview
lines in
map
another
of your
language. I
route,
like
which is
that.
nice to
Thinking
kinda
out of the
check that
box.
and see whether you're going completely off course. Overall, I gotta say I'm pretty impressed with the functionality that
It's like a Pit Boy,
is
for
baked
sure.
into
Yeah.
this like normal glasses looking product like the Even G1. That said, I have a couple things that I would wish to see. The notifications, for one, you can read the notifications, but there's no way to interact. You can't, record a message to send back to them. And on that note, for the AI, I'm really missing the ability to kind of use it as an assistant in the style of like Google Assistant, where you can hold the button down and say, send a message to this person, or what's my battery percentage at? So thankfully, Even Realities has begun open sourcing the Even G1's source code, so developers can start making their own apps and adding features, tweaking things.
Yeah.
So hopefully,
Anyhow, I was impressed with that. I did not know they were coming out. I feel as though we have some opportunity with that. What do you think? Would you get those? Would you wear those?
Yeah, I guess I would have to see, right? Like I don't know if it feels a little first, worldy, like to say, God, the thing in my pocket is not near enough to me, or the thing literally on my watch is not near enough to me for me to get text messages in because like I also get a bunch of garbage text messages that I don't want to look at, and like it'd be showing me those in my face and everything, and I'm kind of like, I don't know.
it
Do
all
I need?
spammed out.
Yeah, like spam
so
and stuff. Do I need that?
Like when
really?
I could see certain practical applications. So when I use and get text messages on my watch in a meeting or something, like I kind of look at it just to see like, all right, is something going, do I really need to be doing that? Probably not. I should probably be paying attention to things. But if you're in like a conversation,
That's
and it
worse.
pops up,
It's like it's gonna distract you at every moment. At least you have the stigma, the social stigma of looking at your wrist and being like, "Oh God,
Fair enough. You're
I'm
right.
distracted." Now I could just like pretend like I'm engaged with you and be totally distracted.
I think that there is that it's close to something. Maybe the translation feature.
Yeah.
Possibly if you're in a bigger city and you wanted the how you walk around and you don't want to be looking at your phone every 2 seconds
Yeah.
and you're just kind of trying to pay
I
attention.
can see that,
to
like you're
things.
with somebody and you're like talking with them and everything, and then you're just like, oh yeah, we're turning over here. Like that is cool. I also like the idea of things popping up maybe, and it would be like, hey, remember you're supposed to be like doing this right now, and you're like, all right, cool. Like that's nice. In
One
my
of
face.
the things we didn't show is that it would do these messages. So like, let's say you're out and about and you're walking around and like, how you can type yourself a message or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like you push the thing and you're like, all right, I have this great idea about Skull Bob's Adventures and I think we want to do it in 2010. It's going to be an amazing
I
thing.
did
We should do all this and da 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 da. And then what it does is it takes it in, AI summarizes it, and then puts a note in your
Totally.
thing.
That
So,
would be
like,
good because I was doing that exact thing and walking around and trying to get in my notes and get into Trello and write it in this board.
Well, and the other thing I would say is that if you're doing something, let's say you're working, you're on a computer and you're typing, you're doing some design, and then you're distracted and somebody text messages you, you look away from that screen, you pull up your phone and you look at it. Yeah, it's like a little bit of a thing, but how long does it take you to re-engage in what you're doing? So you're looking at the design, something pops up, you just refocus like, oh yeah, I got to get that for dinner, so I'll make sure I do that. And you just continue with your day. I don't know.
I guess so.
We're in the nuanced future.
But you know what? But
first
this is
world
like
problems.
exactly. Well, and this is the starter pack for things of it actually being worthwhile and cool, right? Like you need to get to the point where it can give you those kind of things for it to be an actual interesting thing. This is sort of the first prototype, right?
I think it's good. And I mean, it's on market. It's not thousands of dollars, $600, $700, it sounds like. So it's at a point. So Pebble watches, they were good for like 2 years and then they went to the cooler smartwatch. I feel like this is going to be there fairly soon. Like it's going to be doing some AR stuff, maybe analyzing. They'll probably throw a camera in a version of it in the future. I love to see how it's going to go. I'm probably not going with this version of it, but I like it. It looks cool. All right, this one's going to be a quick one. Word of the year, for Oxford Dictionary.
Wasn't one of them Brat? I thought one of them was Brat.
Could have been. So,
Oh, good. Oh, that's a good one.
yeah.
Love it. I use this with the kids all the time.
All right. So does anybody know the
What's
word?
the word of the
The
year?
Oxford Dictionary word of the year. Drum roll, please. Do you know what it is? Anybody want to throw it in the chat? Da, 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 da. Brain rot.
Yep.
Yep.
That's a lot of brain rot talking about in our house.
So do you know? So
I use it as a pejorative.
yeah, I'm sure it is. Have you seen the whole skibbity doo?
Oh yeah, skibbity toilet,
Skibbity
right?
toilet.
Oh, yeah.
Skibbity doo. Yeah. Ugh. Well, anyways, I thought that was just a fun one. So brain rot. It's a noun, and it was 37,000 people were pleased to announce word of the year. Let's read a little bit about it. Short list of 6 words to reflect moods and conversations that help shape the past year. That's great. Why brain rot? Defined as the supposed deterioration of a person's mental or intellectual state, especially viewed as the result of overconsumption of material, now particularly online content, considered to be trivial or unchallenging. Also characterized as likely to lead to such deterioration.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's what, watching too many YouTube shorts, right? Being on TikTok for too long,
Playing
just
games on your phone, just can't get away from it.
Constantly. Like that's all brain rot.
Look at the numbers.
Yeah,
Like,
September. It peaked in September. September brain rot.
I just thought it was
That's a
fun
good one. What were the other 6? Do they have the ones that were in contention?
I don't think they do. Not that I could get to. I didn't look at it.
This is even just the Oxford one, and it doesn't have the other ones. Oh, too bad.
It did not. You ruined it, Ryan.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
they
they did have Skibbity Toilet video.
Skibbity Toilet.
I don't even want to.
Ohio.
I do not want to brain rot anybody by looking. Look at Skibbity Toilet. If you've not seen it, that's a whole series out there too.
Oh yeah. The Weston, my 11-year-old, keeps thinking that or talking about the Skibbity Toilet movie. The regular Skibbity Toilet.
Are you serious?
How great is that going to be?
Like going out in theaters or what?
I don't know. I'd probably be on Paramount or something like that. Paramount Plus.
Well, they already made a complete series. The dude that made it has all kinds of things that are out there. I'll do this one really fast because we've kind of talked about this before, but we talked about AI a lot earlier. ChatGPT for 3D printing is.
This was made in about 30.
Well, let me put it up on the screen so you can see what it looks like. So this one is how do we get 3D objects?
Seconds without any sort of modeling software, and I didn't have to know how it was made. So today we're going to talk about AI-generated 3D models, why they're useful, and what they just might be.
So I liked some of the visuals and like how it was being done and how it starts to think about things because they were taking like 2 or 3 2-dimensional images and then
we did that some of that in Hugging Face, right? There are like certain AI programs they always look like that though.
But but he did say that, but then there's these areas where it starts to put some layers on it, do some other things. And 100%, you're right. It does do it pretty crappy.
Yeah.
But they were getting to a point where it was starting to get better. And they were saying it's getting sharper. You can start to prompt it better, and you can start to adapt some of the angles on things.
Well, because, like, to be honest, taking 2D images and making them into 3D, like, that is not for... that is not for 3D printing. That's for a holodeck. Like when you start getting into that stuff where you're like, all right, I could just generate all of these video game 3D objects and now put it into a VR simulator. Oh, geez. Yeah, those look.
But these are different ones. So like this is the rocket on the one Houston, this rodent.
I guess that's true. That one looks good.
And so the whole point though was that it's just like every AI thing we talked about. You're not going to get the thing perfect out of there. But if you wanted to get a 3D model and then start to take that mesh or that object and start tweaking it, absolutely. It gets you closer.
I don't know what you would do with the MV Dream one. Like if that model is really going to help you, craft a cooler spaceship there.
They're already out of business. Or Magic 3D, it looks like an alien walking or something like that.
Like it's like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, but in heels.
I think we're getting close to me getting a new 3D printer. I feel the itch for it. It's just Not that mine is bad. It's just that the new 3D printers have a lot of features that are going to help me get past all the BS stuff that I have to
Right.
deal with. Like Ryan wanted me to 3D print something,
Right.
and I absolutely can print it, but I'm pretty confident that the tolerances on mine won't do
Yeah.
what that does. And so these pieces fit expertly into each other,
Right.
And it just you're not gonna get
My
what you're
son
hoping for.
Weston was like, "Look how cool this is! Adam has a 3D printer. Tell him to 3D print me this." And I was like, "Okay." But I knew that just even from the stuff that we've done, right? You're like getting it to be the exact thing that exactly flows into each other. Not happening.
All right, this next one is the last one before we get back into our work in
our game.
in the thing, but. I had to call this one out. Did you know this was coming, Ryan?
I didn't. I had no idea.
All right. So if you don't know, you should know. Ryan and I love Halo. Halo
That was
is
our
thing.
game from back in the day, for
That's
sure. And even lately with the new Halo Infinite.
And I think we developed, some of our friendship in those early
Totally.
days, like in the virtual world of Halo.
Yeah.
And so what I have right here is a Halo PC game. Did you know about this, Ryan? Did you know about this game? right here?
That came out a while after, wasn't it? Or did that come out at the same time as Halo 1 came out?
So it came out after, but what it featured some of the weapons that you may not have.
Oh yeah,
had
because
in
it had
them?
online multiplayer. That's what I remember.
It
the big
oh,
thing
it did.
was.
It had online multiplayer and
Which-
it had the what was it? The flamethrower.
Oh, okay.
And I don't even know if you knew it. And had a bunch of
Oh.
different maps. And so why am I bringing this out? Why am I even showing this? Is that this box is necessary to be able to play Halo VR.
Really?
It is because I haven't opened it in years. I want to kind of open it and see if there's what's in it. I used to even look at it's sealed at the top because I wanted it to like be as
Sure.
awesome. It was like, look what was in this box back in the day. You got the sweet disc.
Of course.
Oh, there's product key. Actually, it's considered abandonware, and that would be good. If you saw that key, then you could use it because nobody's gonna look at it. This is a thick book.
Yeah.
Like, there is
that's
a
when
lot.
that's when like you got the full thick manual.
Look at that. That's how you use the mouse to play.
That's how you use a mouse.
Look at those sweet mice in there. Okay, so the reason I brought this out and the reason I want to talk about it is that what happened is people have been like, what the heck? Make a sweet first-person Halo VR.
Yeah.
Microsoft? Anybody out there?
You're like, someone do that?
Do that. And so somebody's been apparently working on it. I had no clue. I didn't even know about this.
Yeah.
And so what they did is they took this PC install and they've been doing a bunch of mods to it. And essentially what you do is you install this on your PC. You use the key code, and apparently the key code that was on there, you could share it with your friends because it's abandonware and it doesn't take like a server to activate it. You just have to have the key code and then it just works
Oh, okay.
on your PC locally
Amazing.
without any kind of connection. And so you install it on your computer. And then there's these GitHub files that you take and you drop it into the install file. And then you run this software so that you stream it to your Oculus or whatever you have.
You can do it through an Oculus?
Yeah, you do it through a freaking Oculus. And
That's
so I'm
pretty good.
So you can go online and download, or you can take this disc, or we could figure out a way to get it on your computer. And they'll give you the code, and then you can activate the copy.
That's amazing.
And then you throw it in there, and then you can play freaking Halo in VR. And so what we're gonna take a quick look at is just somebody playing it in VR. So it looks like Halo, and on a 2D screen, you're just like, it's just Halo, but a
Right.
little like wonky and kind
Yeah.
of funny. But just everyone that I've watched, and there's a bunch of videos out there right now showing this, is that they get into there and they're like, oh my God. And they're like looking around. They're like, it's so big. They were like, the grunts are humongous. and everyone was saying it's very, very playable and amazing. And apparently you can play
Nice.
the entire game with it. Now
Yeah,
that was,
the zoom in is a little weird. I noticed it like makes a sort of circular zoom in circle,
right.
and then also your HUD is kind of like floating around the edges with you. That feels like the only real big difference, and I would play the hell out of
But
this.
look at the gun, how it's like angled.
Yeah,
like he's like shooting
right.
it sideways, and I don't know. Maybe it's because of that stupid commercials. But so I told Carson to my son. I was like,
just
hey,
skip it. You could just. Skip
I was
that.
like, go and put this. I already got out of it.
Okay.
We saw what it looked like. Actually, we could go to the point where they got on the Halo. That might be a fun part. Because that's when they start talking about it. Let's watch this guy's playthrough when he gets onto the Halo. Because that'll be fun. I'll even listen to what he says.
I watched your thing that you posted on Discord too of the people talking about Halo, the developers watching the speed run.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun.
That was a good one.
Air brake failure. They blew too early.
He's like in front of it.
He's like in the cutscene. He's just looking around the cutscene.
You're the camera, essentially, in it. I want to be in this. I'm going to do it.
Chief, can you hear me?
No, I'm
At
dead.
last. Are you all right? Can you move?
He must be like recording it really badly.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of
Don't
better
we usually
videos.
just bomb with a pistol? I don't remember.
See, this is where I need the large language model of Cortana in it, and I could just ask her questions right now.
Oh, God, that would be sweet.
No.
And it just mutes all of his normal dialogue and her dialogue.
Oh man.
Warning. I've detected multiple
He's,
Covenant
like, so
dropships on
tweaking.
approach.
I'm going.
I recommend moving into those hills. If we're lucky,
Anyways,
the Covenant will
evasion?
believe that everyone aboard this lifeboat
Evasion.
died in a crash.
It's evasion, right?
It's not avoision?
No, I always think about you when they say that damn line.
Because I say it every
I
time.
recommend immediate evasion.
Immediate avoision.
Evasion's not even a word. I know. Oy. Anyways, I think I'm gonna try to install that. Maybe we can do a little playthrough. I hear that you can't really do the multiplayer well,
Oh, really? Yeah, that makes sense.
but you can apparently do it. So that's sweet. So you could set that up. What do you think?
I like the idea. I wonder how sick it makes you, for one thing.
Fair enough.
It seems
That's
a little
good point.
swimmy. Seems a little swimmy in there. And then also, like, I would want to play it just because that would be a fun new way to interact with a game that I played hundreds of times through. So it would be fun to see the story like that. But it also makes me think that, like, how come they just aren't making games like that? Like, how come they just aren't taking a whole bunch of old games? Can I just play through Half-Life 2 like that? Can I just play through all of these any first-person shooter game now in VR?
You have to
that would
like
be
mod it.
Yeah, but they should just be. I mean, the Halo people should be releasing that, right?
Well,
To
that's
the-
what everyone
to the
was saying,
Quest.
and then there was a whole bunch of debate why that's not happening, and they said that because of the way that it the market or whatever, and they were saying like not a lot of people have the Oculus. It's not going to sell things. It's not worth the time and money and the ROI on that. And it's like, oh God, of course.
I
It's
guess.
that. It's that thing.
I mean, I guess, but I feel like the nostalgia for it would sell half your stuff.
But they were saying it's not a predictable market as a console and things
right,
like
as
that.
a
It's
console.
they said that this is just not where that's at, and so
I mean, I don't buy games on my Oculus, so
there you
I
go.
get it.
It's a little bit thing. All right, are we ready to do some skull bobs? Let's transition over. Into
Yeah,
the
do you
room.
want to do Skull Bobs, or do you want to do some Jackbox?
Ooh, who wants to play some Jackbox? Anybody with some Jackbox?
Yeah, maybe that could
Capabilities
be fun.
out
I'm gonna use the
there?
restroom while you get it set up. If you
All right,
you
we
can
got to
still
we got to
wait
see
for a
some
second.
chat. I don't know how laggy the chat is behind on this, but we should do some Jackbox. That would be fun as heck. If you're still out there, I'm gonna transition to the other room. We're gonna play some Jackbox. We'll get ourselves set up. I have not created the transition music yet, Mike Azul. All right, let's get some Jackbox going. In the studios of Double Drop Down. Oh, this feels good. Get your phones out, jackbox.tv. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Drawful, Ryan? That so I got the Jackbox Naughty Pack. It's just too naughty for the stream, unfortunately. It is bad. Stealth Mouse and I have been playing it. Yes, we want to exit. I need to make a shortcut for this. I feel like there might be a delay on this stream tonight. We'll see. Let's see if there's anybody out there that wants to play. Oh, no. Others in on it. Should right away. Oh, we got Becky in. Jackbox.tv. Ryan forgot his headset. Never played before? Go to jackbox.tv. You're gonna have to draw fast, Ryan.
Okay.
I'm still drawing though too. Hey, Lepo93. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the follow. I did not change it. We're playing Jackbox. We're just doing talk show right now.
We're talk showing it with the old Jackbox.
You happen to be in here? You're good. All right.
You're like, only the cool people know.
Yeah, they do. Give everyone just another second here. Hey, we enjoyed chit-chatting about AI and all the fun stuff. Did you just touch the screen, right?
I tried to touch the screen. It's a Wacom tablet.
Fair enough. It has some touchy capabilities.
Was there a new subscriber you said?
Yep. We just had somebody that was a follower, a new follower
Nice.
out there.
New follower.
All right, we're gonna play with 4 then.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Well, hello there. This is Drawful. Looks like we
I don't know why I
have a
feel like I
close-up.
need to make myself
Come on,
waving
let's go.
in every picture of
Do you?
myself. I
All
usually
right.
do.
If you look at your devices right now, you should see a secret prompt just for you.
Oh man.
Something kind of hard to draw, like cat inception or, I don't know, flatus. Draw a picture on your device that would have that title, and when you're done, hit send. You'll get points for each player that can correctly guess your title. So, get to it.
go.
Seconds left, y'all.
God,
Come on.
this
I
is
know what
awesome.
you're drawing isn't that good or important. Let's go.
Simple.
Oh man. Fine.
Okay, let's take a look at your
Submitted.
artwork. Now, take a wild guess at what the prompt for this title could be.
I bet I know who drew this one.
Hey, I'm serious. Time is up.
Run out of time. I wonder if it's
Here are your choices. Try to pick the real title and avoid all the garbage everyone else typed in. And here are your picks.
It was the decoy. All right. Yes.
nice.
Cute butt and perfect butt. Saggy butted lion.
Okay, the next drawing. Type in a title now.
You know what? Some of these new ones
type
with
in
like
anything.
AI and stuff, it should like know about us and pick prompts that like have to do with our lives. That would be fun.
And here are your choices.
Oh man.
Our future.
Okay, who picked what?
Good one.
There you go, folks.
All right. Yes.
Look how perfect that hair was.
Look at it. It's great. That's a perfect little hairdo. So if people guess yours, you get 1,000 per guess. Right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
So it's like you almost want to screw people by not guessing theirs. That's the only
Yeah.
problem with it.
Enter your titles now. Come on.
This is a
Typing
tough
time
one.
Is almost up.
Ambiguous.
Here are your choices.
Do you get points?
And here are your picks.
Do you get points for guessing the right?
Yeah, see, how did mine? So I put bounce house, and it even just let me put in bounce house. Three.
Oh, you get 100.
You get 100.
Nice hundy. Cool hundy.
Cool, 100.
Type in a convincing title now.
Okay.
Hello.
I'm gonna go get my drink.
And here are your choices. Oh, come on, pick one.
Hello.
Let's see what people picked.
Nice. Good job, Becky.
Oh.
Making jam. I didn't know how to do making jam. Those are strawberries he was putting into the jam, and then there's like a bunch of jam. You know, you're
They
always
look like
making
beer
a bunch.
mugs.
Yeah, I
That
know.
was
Well,
the-
that's the problem with the colors.
Yeah.
If I'd had
Wait,
red.
Let's do that drawing thing again. Prompts should be
Okay.
on your devices.
All right,
now.
here we go.
Left, y'all.
Hello.
Let's wrap it up. What you're doing is probably not going to be that great anyway. You're not freaking Picasso. Just wrap it up. Oh, good.
Fine.
All of you got your drawings in on time. Let's see the first one. Up next.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey, I'm serious. Time is up.
I like their little glovies.
And here are your choices.
Ooh.
Hello.
I want to play the other Drawful, the dirty one, so bad.
We could just like.
We could try a round of it. How about that? One round of dirty.
Pick something. And here are your picks.
Suckers.
Yes. Somebody got it.
Hello. Dang it. Good one. All right, you got it. Ah, I'm still in last. Too bad. Ooh.
Put in your titles now.
I feel like I got some hard ones this time.
Hey, wait, we can't type anything. Oh, I can't type anything. I can't do anything.
I know. Just like exit out here and come right back in.
I don't think anybody can.
Oh.
It might have jacked up. Damn you, Jackbox.
Quick, type in anything.
Oh, no one, yeah, no one could do anything.
It doesn't want you to win, Ryan.
Ah, God. Man.
Okay, here are your choices.
Maybe, was it everyone? I don't know. Oh, wait, here.
And here are your picks.
Duh. This is the only one that even makes any kind of sense.
Hey, that's great. You just
That's
got
great
it.
for
It didn't let
me.
me choose it at the last
Hey,
second.
Perfect.
You got lucky with that
Yeah,
one.
like I purposely did that. I'm probably
Oh,
first now.
yeah, you went from last to first.
Second.
Fair.
Is he gonna do it again?
Hopefully not.
Next up,
Okay.
F.
and here are your choices.
F.
F's in the chat. Oh.
Okay, who picked what?
Ah. Yeah. I'm glad that you picked it. I spelled
Dang it.
tomato wrong.
I know. I was like, right after I did that, I was like,
Well, because I was trying to delete the E and then it.
yeah.
Nice.
Cut in half by tiny flying swords is a crazy
That's a
prompt.
tough one.
Like, what drugs were people on when they came up with these prompts? I feel like it is really stream of conscious.
It's AI driven.
Yeah, it could be.
All right, let's do another one.
It looks like I'm part of the picture. I'm like waving at my friends. over
Hey,
there.
buddies.
Hey guys. Can I come and hang out? Cool.
Stealth Mouth's icon is such a classic.
It's like it's good. It's good. The classic every time.
Hurry up, people. Just type something in.
I assume that's supposed to be a swimsuit, but it kind of looks like water floaties, like your
But
little
it
arm
works both
floaties.
ways.
And here are your choices.
Oh man, there's some good ones in there.
Pick anything. And here are your picks.
That was a good
Tiny
one.
pool party.
Damn
tiny
you!
Pool party.
Right when I saw that one, I knew I was screwed. Oh man.
Oh, you guys.
You were
got
right.
hosed.
You were right.
See, I feel like you shouldn't have let me even do that one.
Why?
It should have been like,
That's
it
the
should have
point
been
of
like, you know, you're too close to the actual.
it. Ryan took it
What?
from the
By 100 points. 100 points.
damn.
Ooh, tied.
double.
Tied. I haven't seen that before.
All right.
Oh, by 100 points. Stealth.
Took it away from you, Stealth.
All
right.
We should have some kind of count of like who.
Do we want to try a dirty
yeah,
drawful?
Yeah. We got to try a dirty drawful.
All right.
Especially with He Higley in the.
All right.
chat. That should be fun.
Let's see if we can do this. I bought this on a whim. It is dirty, and hopefully you don't get kicked off Twitch for this one.
Are we doing drawful?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna do the awful drawful.
Awful drawful.
Bad.
Dirty drawful.
It even has some really good.
Okay.
Oh, it has 4 colors. That's what it is. It is so hilarious. I was gonna draw something else, and then I decided to draw blue pants on there. I wanted to be PC. All right,
Give it a couple more minutes.
give it a second here.
Yeah,
It is 9:41.
that's true.
But the fact that it has 4 colors is a new thing.
That is good. No, it had like a restart. So is that like you can restart your drawing? I think
I
I
actually
saw.
didn't even try that yet.
I didn't try it. Want to do it just 3?
Let's do it 3. Let's see. All you need is 3. Heather and I had to like do one on the phone here,
Oh, just like a.
just to be able to even test it.
Okay.
Hey, welcome to Dirty Drawful. It's fun for the whole family, as long as your family loves ketamine. We're playing 2 rounds.
Oh,
It's game time.
Jesus.
I've sent a prompt to each of your devices. It might be a little odd,
Oh,
like
jeez.
wiggling wiggly bits or divorced baby. Create a drawing on your device that fits the title. When you've finished, hit submit. The more players that guess your correct title, the more points you'll get. You can do it. Sorry.
Oh, my mom says her. He Higley says it won't let her in. So that's okay.
Don't forget you can still join the audience by going to jackbox.tv and entering the room code.
God, I screwed it up so bad. Yeah, the thing backs up. It's an undo.
Undo or like
One
erase?
undo. It's one undo.
Time is running low. Wrap it up, people.
It's
The drawings
Okay.
are in.
It's
Let's
okay,
check 'em out.
right?
yeah.
Oh, what?
What's a title that could trick your friends into thinking it's correct? Write it on your device.
And they're all obviously dirty, so I should be thinking about it in that way.
Something not. Oh yeah, and you have funds.
Try to pick the original title out of this lineup.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's see how this all shook out.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. All right, cool.
Do you think it was the wrong one or what?
Well, usually when you pick the first one, usually people haven't got it, so you're like, dang it.
So did you see those buttons?
Oh, right.
Write in your titles now.
Oh Jesus.
I kind of like that drawing. I'm proud of that one.
Look at all these forgeries. Pick the real deal.
Oh God.
Alrighty, let's see what you did.
Nice. All right.
It was a
good
little
one.
limpy though.
Nice. Stealth got it.
See, I mean, it's
Totally.
not terrible, but
Oh,
some of them have been bad though.
really?
Yeah.
Enter something that could make sense.
I like that you could put those on there. Makes it fun. No burping, no
yeah,
farting.
God, I know. I like sex sounds better than farting.
Like slow moving sex sounds.
Yeah.
Nice toilet paper coming out.
Write something. You might have all day, but I have to host like 1,000 more of these games. So many good options. Choose only one. Behold the results.
Oh, good job.
Yeah. She knew what it was. I can't believe you saw that was the Eiffel Tower. Good job.
Yeah, that's a terrible Eiffel Tower, Adam.
I was bad. I even erased it and had to look it up on Google what it
man.
looked like. And it was still terrible.
I still did a bad job.
I like the multiple colors though.
Yeah, that is good.
No, I mean like using 4 colors
Time
in
for
this
round
is
two.
great.
Be safe out there.
Oh God, look at the little dude.
Okay.
Oh God.
running out of time. Start thinking of excuses.
This is terrible. This is a terrible one. I'm sorry. 4, 3, 2.
The drawings are in. Some of them are very bad. Let's take a look.
Yeah, they are. I agree.
Yeah, like it's like she knows.
Type that title.
This is mine. This is my drawing.
I think you can tell, Ryan.
Ooh, there are some pretty good options here. Well, there's one.
Ooh.
I also wrote
I
a
can't wait to see
word,
what
so it's
happened.
like not exactly fair.
I was gonna say, right? That the question mark on that was what, what sold it.
How was also like supposed to know that they were stood up at the sex swing?
You have to use your sweet drawing skills. There,
How
bro.
was I gonna do that?
I don't know.
Somebody walking away.
Look at this perfect disaster. Okay, check these out. Okay, who got tricked?
Oh God. Oh,
Nice.
it's like
All right, I almost doubled down on that one. That
Oh,
was,
yeah,
like,
you
too
can
good.
double down.
You could double down.
I didn't even know you could double down.
How do I have like 5,005 points?
All right, last drawing
Oh,
of the
God.
game.
Oh, this is Adam.
The right answer is in here somewhere. Time to vote.
Oh, jeez. The 90s.
Yeah, well, that was like the
Alrighty, let's
fourth
see what
one
you
that they
did.
just have to put in that doesn't make any sense for any of it. Good job. Good job, Heather.
I totally missed a word and could have made this so much better.
And she doubled down. Yes.
Cute lice house. I should have put a freaking house in there and it would have
Somewhere.
like sold the damn
Something.
thing. I didn't even see the word house. Sorry.
Nice.
Still-
Good job.
she's still
Good
the
job,
winner.
Stealth. And the most likes.
Damn, she's
Good
good at the
one.
dirty drawful.
Good one.
I don't know. What do you think of that? I mean,
Yeah.
there's some neat little extra features.
Totally. I can see that.
Most emoted.
Most emoted.
All right. I think we got to pivot over, Ryan.
Yeah,
Get back to it. That was fun. What'd you think?
totally.
All right. We got to get into this game. This has been something we have been working. I'm gonna switch it up. I did put it to Jackbox on the stream right there. Let's put it to DIY. We're gonna put on makers and crafters.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Good night, Stealth.
All right. She just wanted to get her fix on the Jackbox.
Totally.
All right, babe.
I
Good night.
get it.
All right, so back in action. We need to work on some stuff. We got what? An hour?
Got an hour.
Sweet. So let's talk about it. What are we going to do today?
Well, I mean, you know, we can just show off some things. We can add some things to it. I would love to get even like
Let's do the mural board.
your opinion on things. So I think we should look at the mural board, and I think we should look at the GPT.
All right, we're going to do mural board first.
Okay. So So basically what happened was, if you were here last time, we did a bunch of stuff about the characters. And we said, here's which character knows what about who. Here's what they do in their off time, just to sort of round out the characters and some of the interactions that they have with each other.
And we're talking about Skull Bob's.
Talking about Skull Bob's Adventures, which is our Game Boy game that we're building. And it's sort of this world that we have been thinking about for the last 15 years. And so I feel like that is super helpful to have kind of that background of it, because we've been thinking about it and talking about it at certain times and sort of building out the character and the world that we want to do. And what I thought was neat was then you could go in and I could build like a GPT, because really what I wanted to do is I made the lore Bible for it. And I was like, I need a place where I just write down when we have new ideas that we want to add to the story, or we think about the characters that are cool. We need a place to write those things down so we can reference it. So then when we're building out dialogue and stuff like that, and just story arcs and everything for the characters, that like we can have something to reference, right? So that we know what type of thing we're doing. And then what I did was, as I took all of that we did, I added a little bit more. So I'll have to I'll tell you about a couple of the things that I added to the story a little bit, because I feel like there were like certain holes that we wanted to fill. So I'll let you, we'll talk about that. But
I just wanted to show the intro.
Yeah, totally. That was good. But yeah, so I don't know. We could jump into the mural. Like
I got to get to where you put the chat. So let me get to that. So we have the lore Bible. Let me open that. And then, okay. So the lore Bible is that's what we created.
So a majority of this is things that we sort of talked about in the last episode.
Got it.
Right? Which was just talking about the backstory of all these characters and what they kind of do and things like that. And so I rounded it out a little bit. And just basically, so this was from last time, and we were just like, hey, what are good things about them? What are bad things about them? How do they know each other? What are their relationships and things like that? So we could just sort of have a more well-rounded version of the characters.
And I think this was a good conversation last time. We really were able to flesh out some of their backstory in such a way. So here, why don't you drive a little bit?
Yeah.
Talk about a little bit on the mural board. I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Sure. Okay. So I took some of this and I basically added it here. And I said, here's our characters. We have 4 main characters. Here's their backstory. And then we got some suggestions of like, what does this person do in their spare time, right? Like, what do they do outside of the story that sort of fleshes them out as characters? And then what are some negatives about them? And then because Roby is our main character, I wanted to be like, what is all of these people relationship to Roby if we haven't already spelled it out in their backstory? So I just kind of, from what we had learned, I also did a long version of the story. So back in July, we had an episode 60, I think it was. And Adam and I basically went through the entire story of what we thought this game was and everything. And I had that transcribed, and then I sort of went in and added things and changed stuff. So this is basically the entire story of our first game. And then I did a little bit on sort of Decker, which is a kind of our main grandfather character that dies at the beginning, and kind of his backstory with the skull and just like how they saw each other. Really what I wanted to do was just come up with a bunch of things that the AI could hold on to that was like, here's kind of where we want the flow of this, here's how people interact with each other and everything. And then finally I had locations, which was just basically our 3 levels. And I was like, great, what is Skull Bob's Tavern? And I was like, all right, it used to be a thriving bar, museum, and tourist destination when Decker and Skull Bob's were in the public eye, but it's kind of gone downhill a little bit. I just basically set up each one of the tavern, the apartment, and the brewery, and was just kind of explaining a little bit about where they were now. Like I looked up, I was like, what is like a mid-size brewery? How much beer do they brew? And so I looked up like New Belgium, right, is a Colorado beer, and it brews about 900,000 barrels a year of beer. And I was like, all right, well, it should be less than that, you know? And so maybe at its peak, it did like 600,000 and now it's more like 250,000 barrels, which would still be like big-ish, but not like overwhelming. It's not Coors, right? And so really I just sort of did a bunch of stuff. I looked up Decker, like his name in our original episode 0 is spelled with 2 Ks. Yeah. And so I was like, all right, it's gotta be 2 Ks. So Decker, I like the idea of everyone called him Decker and then Roby calls him Granddad. I like the idea of like, he sort of, if we go back to some of this, and these are some things that I wanted to talk to you about, because I did make a little bit of you know, my own sort of things, right?
Throwing in some of his own lore.
Totally. Well, I said, so say we had Roby, right? And I had negatives about him, and I put blind to Decker's flaws as a caregiver and father figure, right? A little bit stuck in the past and lacks self-confidence and gumption. Like, so a little bit kind of back there. I really wanted these characters to have flaws, right? I was looking at things. I was like, it'll be easier to write them if they have flaws that then they can overcome by the end, right? So we got to sort of start.
So he's going to hate his
like
grandpa
shitty.
in the end.
Well, like he's going to like his grandpa in the end, but he sort of like, he keeps, you know, it's like I want him to like hold on to the actual truth of it and enjoy his grandpa for what it was, right?
Fair enough.
Okay, so the other big one, and you can read through this. We won't read through every single bit of this, but if I go back, oh no, wait, I had D. Okay, so what I knew was we need to have D have a side story in this, right? Like I wanted to be able to say, she is, you know, I wanted this to pass the Bechdel test, right? Which is that like female characters in movies and shows should not just be doing things that help progress the story of the male lead character, which is a lot of times what happens, right? And in sort of, it is happening in this story. Like she's sort of there to like help him go through the thing, and she's kind of in the background a little bit. Okay. So my idea was that like, you know, we talked a little bit about like, what is her thing? Right? Like, what does she do? And I had the idea that, you know, she's been kind of trying to promote the bar. Like she sort of thinks of herself as like an entrepreneur and a person, like she wants to push the bar into the tavern into kind of the future of things and promote it differently and refurbish it and all of that. Right. And kind of Decker and Roby were always sort of like, nah, I like it as it's old timey, old school thing. Like Decker's hardly involved at all at that point. And really Roby is kind of like, I like it old timey and it reminds me of the old days. And so I don't want to push it forward. And so she keeps being like, no, come on, we got to do that. And that was kind of her like thing of her stuff. And then I was like, what are we doing? Because we're leaving her at the bar for the most part.
Yeah.
Like during this entire time. And so what is she doing at the bar during this time? She has to be helping or doing something. And I was like, we're setting it in 2010, right?
Yeah.
It's the very first time like sort of Instagram starts that year. And, you know, YouTube has been around for a little bit. I was like, what if she was trying to be like sort of a early influencer or something? Like she could have her little like flip camera. Remember flip cams?
Yeah.
Like to recording things, or she could be on her iPhone with like FaceTime came out like right at this time. Like maybe she's recording it and trying to get stuff, and like
Justin TV,
you know, Justin TV, like she's trying to be on this forward facing edge of like the stuff of like being an influencer and promoting the bar in that way. And she sees this adventure that Roby is going on with AB and the mystery around the skull and stuff like that as a way to kind of like start a podcast or something about it, or, you know, like this is like the
idea.
Early days, right? And so she's like, oh man, you got to record stuff, Roby, as you're going, because I need it for the, you know, like I'm trying to build an audience. And maybe she's like on MySpace or on Facebook or, you know, early Insta, and she's like trying to build an audience, and she's like getting a bigger audience because she's like posting things while Roby is off doing that.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I had a thing, and maybe you're going here. But this thought could be a big turning point for us in this game. One thing about a Game Boy game is it's stuck in the past.
Right.
what if part of like the real website we're doing has some of the stuff that she's
Right.
doing in the game?
I could see that.
Like I think I've always wanted to make a Game Boy game, but I also don't want to just make it for just the retro value.
Sure.
Like I want to make the new thing that like can leverage a Game Boy game. And so what if like in the thing that she's doing something, and then you could watch the thing and
Right.
it on like our
Like
site.
hers recording, right? Like her recording.
Like
of
we
doing
recreate a
things.
MySpace
Right,
page
yeah.
on the site, and it has
That's
a
the
bunch
Skull
of
Bob's like
has some of the-
mystery.
has some of the
It's
things.
unraveling. I love that.
that would be sweet. I love that.
So I thought that could be a fun thing for her to do. It's like her own motivation that doesn't have anything to do with Roby. And I sort of had her, like, I had negatives about Dee because I was like, God, we have no negatives about Dee. Like, she needs character flaws that come up. And I was like, she slightly resents Roby, maybe because he's sort of fallen into his, title
Right.
or whatever. But I also like the idea of her having a little bit of an imposter syndrome around being an entrepreneur and business person, because she like thinks of herself as that, but she hasn't really gotten the opportunity to do it very much. And so when she's in that businessy sort of situation, maybe she's like overcompensating and trying to use a bunch of big words about business and stuff.
Okay, I
like,
like it, I
you
like
know,
it.
like that's sort of her, like, it sort of sounds a little fakey and everything, but I like the idea of her sort of being the creator side of it, because that's what we are too, right? Is like, we're the creator side. And so I like that she is kind of taking up that role in it, and a fun thing for her to do on the side. So anyway, I have a little bit about like each one of them.
I was looking at the AB. I like
Yeah.
that one. So I could see the arc, and I'm gonna call him D, the one where it's his negatives, like just a treasure hunter, kind of like I think we've already got that. He like airs on being, I'm like this like academic,
totally.
but yeah, it really doesn't give a crap, and he's not really respected, but he's respected elsewhere because he is seemingly smart elsewhere, but not. And I think his arc is potential there is, yeah, he doesn't care about the locals, but maybe could you get him to care?
Exactly. Right. Like, yeah, like he just sort of thinks of them as local yokels that I have a drink with and talk with and sort of understand. But really, I'm there just to kind of like take their artifacts that they don't know anything about, and stuff like that. But I do like the idea of him being like, all right, these guys are cool. I'm invested in this family. I don't want to see them die or their planet get destroyed. So that's his arc, right, is coming around to them.
I still think he's like the father of the baby.
Something, right?
Of
I
Dee's
could totally
baby.
see. Yeah. Because so that was one thing. I was like, how long have Dee and Roby been going out? Like, we have them as a couple. If it's like they've been going out for 2 years, she obviously cheated or did something to not have
right.
Roby's baby. Like he would have to know, like, that is
Yeah.
my baby or that isn't. So then I was like, maybe they've only been going out for like 6 months, and Dee is 10 months pregnant or 9 months pregnant, right? But they only started going out when she was like, he knew she was already pregnant.
Right.
So he knows it's not his, but like they've been working together. Say they've been working together for 3 or 4 years, right?
Sure.
You'd be like, oh, okay. Like, did they hook up and now it's his baby and now that's why they're together? Did they get together after she was like, keep it ambiguous so that you're sort of guessing, and then we can play with whatever we want in the second one. That like, I feel like if you have them going out for too long, you'd be like, poor D, 10 months pregnant. You're actually, I mean, 10 months pregnant is how many weeks pregnant? You're 40 weeks pregnant, right? Is when you're done.
But it's
So that's-
9. It's 9 months usually.
But that's what everyone says. But really, you're 40 weeks pregnant when you're ready to have the baby, which is 10 months. So anyway,
Ryan,
they're pulling out baby facts.
having babies.
Hey, H.E. Higley had a baby
Fair
store
enough.
for
You
for
did have
very
a
long
baby
time.
store for quite a bit of times.
Okay, and then I had like basically Decker being already sort of spiraling down into that when Roby was a kid, and Roby running around the bar and doing everything, and mostly Decker trying to kind of push off projects on him to sort of shut him up, but like helping him out to figure out, how to fix things, how to do things. And Roby always like looked up to him as this like amazing 40 weeks, 9 months. So he's like, really looks up to his grandfather and everything and sees him as this hero, which I think would be neat. Okay. So we should look at the actual bar here. Or this is the actual like flow of the game, right? And so I started to add some things. I thought, do we need something at the beginning that sets up this game? Like, does it need a couple tiles, right? Like Game Boy games did that a lot. Here's 3 or 4 sort of
Absolutely,
word titles, right? And then we don't have to have the characters talk as like they would have to explain some of this stuff, or it would have to be in things. So
we got some drama about the math here.
Okay, so I basically just had it as like ChatGPT helped me write this, but I sort of like, it's all like half GPT in me. So I had Robert Decker, the famed adventurer and the sole owner of Skullbob's Tavern and Brewery, is dead. After a wild wake, the tavern is in shambles, and the path ahead is uncertain as his grandson Roby takes over. This is where the strange story of a skull named Bob is about to take a wild new turn. Okay, so that doesn't have to be right. That doesn't have to be the final thing, but that was what I came up with for sort of the setup dialogue, right? Okay, so then we have the first interaction with D at the bar, which basically is like, this is him coming in. It's after the funeral. We don't know shit about Roby. We don't know anything about D. We don't know anything about any of these people. Okay. Well, we know a tiny bit about Roby, right? And so I had some dialogue like, "Morning, boss. It looks like you wrestled a Bigfoot." This is ChatGPT. I also added that we were in Colorado, and so it started to add Colorado things to it, which I think is where it came up with Bigfoot.
Yeah, I don't like that line, but
totally. Like again, all changeable, right? Like,
is Bigfoot from Colorado? Is that a Colorado thing?
I think it's a Colorado. I think like the people who do like the Bigfoot tracker or whatever, all from like,
no way,
like Colorado and stuff. Okay, so I liked this idea of him being like, I got screwed up at the wake last night, right? And she's sort of like, oh, is that how you're supposed to act as the CEO, right? Like sort of needling him that he is now this like CEO of something. And he's like, don't start with me. I need a drink. And she's like, hell no, you are not getting a drink. You have to go fix this bathroom. Your Decker's friends were in there. They screwed it all up. Right. And he's like, oh, right, because me mopping the floor, says head boss. And then I liked this one because it was like, you and I are in leadership development, right? And or you're in, leadership stuff. And the idea that he would be the head boss but needing to go mop the floors is kind of like servant leadership, which I thought was like, it's a funny. I know Adam calls himself likes to do servant leadership too, which is basically just kind of like doing some of the grunt work, right? And then I like that they kiss at the end, right? Like they're sort of going like, you don't know, because you don't know right now. Are they together? Who are these people who are doing that? And then it's kind of like, okay, they kiss and go away. And then I was like, okay, we need the UI cutscene of the needs to go that like we show Roby's notepad, right? Because this is where we're going to show what the thing you're supposed to be doing. And then go clean the bathrooms, right? Is written in the notes. And right. So then you would know, right? The thing that I'm supposed to be doing now that this dialogue is triggered is I need to go and clean the bathroom. And that's where you need to go check the notes. Sort of like when we teach them how to, find in the other menu stuff, right? Okay. So then another thing that I was thinking is, do we need something in between that's like another set of dialogue that you could miss if you just went and did unlock the bathroom and went and did all of this, right? But if you go back to D, does she say like another thing that gives you a little bit of lore?
So here's the thing. Yeah. Bigfoot is Washington. Yeah.
I know, but like I think it's anywhere with trees at this point, and those guys are from.
So here's my thing, and I'm glad you brought this up, is when you get to dialogue, in a Game Boy game, that is a lot of dialogue boxes. And even when we first do it, so we may need to like figure out what is our limit on how many dialogue boxes are even acceptable.
Totally.
But the other thing is, let's just say this is because like we're not doing, it's not an open world game as much because it's a Game Boy. It has a little linear path.
Yeah.
But when you go, so let's say she says all those things and it's like basically telling you your mission.
Yeah.
How important is it that you go around and let's say you do explore and the world's a little bit like opened at this point, so you can go and try to figure out, well, I could go over here. I could go over here.
Yeah.
And you check this and you're like, crap, what am I supposed to do? And you go back and then you have the dialogue again. Or is the second follow-up dialogue saying the same thing, but like in a very shorter way? Like you get an extra bit of story
Right.
and you're like, are you going to clean the bathroom? So if you get it the
That
first
is
time, you get the first run through and you get the detailed.
Bigger, yeah. And then like imagine like I I would think in a perfect world you would sort of have 3, right? You would have this longer one. If you came back, it would have I would consider it like this. So I was trying to keep them less than 10. So like 10 dialogue boxes, right? Because like here's the original one. Like these are all yours. The original ones that are in there right now. I just sort of played through the game and added them all.
Good job, sir.
So then like I went through and added all of these, right?
You played through the game to get those?
I just played through the game and then like sat there and wrote down and then stopped and then sat there and wrote down.
Can I show you something really quick?
You have this in some kind of spreadsheet somewhere?
No. You gotta see this. If we're gonna do this, you just got to know this feature for that. So you're in the Game Boy suite. If you go over to Game World over here, you go to dialogue review. And it has all the dialogue.
Oh, nice. I could have copied and pasted
So
it, right?
you could have done that.
Hey, but I was like trying to feel the vibe of it, right? Like I was trying
I
to
love that you
play
played through
it
it and you beat it and you got through it.
Oh yeah, well and then I started to do all of the like when you click on a picture or when you click on those things, but I ran out of time. Because we got to do all of that stuff, right? You got to be like, here, what are the 8 things that you can click on in this room or whatever.
Okay, well, I'm letting you drive again.
So this one, like you could see, like I think your longest one was 15.
It was bad.
I was like, that's too long. So I tried to keep it at 10.
It was talking to AB, wasn't it?
And okay, so I was like, all right, what if this one, then after you get done, it had a little bit extra and then went, okay, really go clean the bathroom. Right. And then I imagine you would click on her a third time. It's just like, go clean the bathroom.
Right.
Like that's how I kind of see that going. And then like I had Roby enters the bathroom and I was like, oh, it'd be cool if like, then it paused and it did these 3 say, and then he went into the bathroom, right? So there's like dialogue that you get like as you enter a room, it's maybe a new room or something like that. And I feel like that would be good because that would show you like, oh, this is a new room that I haven't entered in before. So like now I've entered in here, I got sort of this dialogue. Great. Now I can go into here. And so I just have him like running in and doing that. And then when he comes back out to interact with D, like to go kill the rats in the alley. So I got, okay, it's less dirty. I think you'll do good. Like, I think you'll like be fine at running this operation. And he was like, nah, no way. Like grandfather, like I can't live up to that. And I like the idea that like D sort of like doesn't like Decker as much as him. Like that's kind of the dynamic is she's sort of like, he was just like a shitty boss that was up in the thing. And Roby is more like Decker, the hero of my, and she knows that he wasn't very nice to him. Okay. So anyway, this is where I thought like, you and I could do better than that guy ever could to like promote the bar. Like this is where we could start bleeding in some of her stuff of like what she was going to do of like trying to get the bar up and going again. And then I basically have her saying like, okay, we got to go out into the alley. And she does a Star Wars quote and he's like, okay, we don't have to use any of that. But I was sort of like, what is the dynamic between them? Are they like teasing each other? Are they like serious with each other? Are they, how much of the story are we telling throughout this? And at one point, what was it that I added? For the story. So this is the longer story that we went through on when we explained the entire game,
Right.
inside of that one episode. And one thing that I changed for this was when Roby and AB get to the brewery and find out the stuff about the skull, like we reveal everything during that point. And I was like, we can't reveal everything at that point. We have to let something reveal then later on, so that you're still going through it. And so I had the idea that like they get in there and they know that the skull was being used to brew the beer, but they don't really know like what he was trying to do or what he was trying to accomplish or what the skull really even is at that point. They just know that it was gross slurming its way into making the entire Skull Bob stout. And so then when they're going through, say, if we're still talking about going through like Decker's apartment as kind of like the last level to get to the front where they heard everyone D meets up with them. And that's where they meet the big bad at the end.
Right.
Like as they're going through their apartment, that's when they learn that the Skull Bob was, like a sort of planet seeding entity, right? That like, uses energy and can, bring life to a planet. And then is also like a real, entity that then grows because of that, right? Like those are all things you're learning in notes and everything throughout the entire like apartment. So I was like, that'll be good. It'll like, do a big reveal from when we see the skull, but then we'll also, have more to reveal as you're going. Cause I was like, oh, we're going through the grandfather's apartment and we're like, we're not learning anything. And like, we need to learn things as it goes. So I sort of broke it up a little.
Well, okay. So just as you call this out, where did the pieces of paper that you collect, the journal notes come into play in this?
Well, and I was thinking, so definitely journal notes throughout the entire thing, right? And we'll have to like figure out what exactly is going to do there. And I feel like that's where you learn a lot about like the history of the stuff, right? Like maybe in the brewery, it's more about like how the skull was being used, like, to help the bar, like to increase the town. You're sort of like, what? I thought it was just sort of like a branding thing for this, right? But it's like more involved than that.
We need some clues that like push it to the story as well. Like you have to find these, and then it gives you something that takes you to the next part. Like it isn't all just story, but it's also story that helps drive it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I guess like if you want to make the things optional to get, right? Like
a couple could be,
because you could be where it's like, oh, it's just, you need a couple of them to maybe to do a puzzle or something like that, right? But then you could see that there are 3 slots for them or something, right? That should be in there. I know we talked about like them filling in slots. But anyway, the one very fun thing that I found with this is that like the ChatGPT part where you upload this entire story. What's nice about it now is you could sort of say, hey, I want some like dialogue between D and Roby, right? And like, what does that look like? Or, how does, describe, can you describe the Skull Bob's powers, right? Like I had that as one of the prompts that you could do. And it was kind of nice to be able to like go in and look at it and say like, oh, okay, how does this sound? Or give me some dialogue between them and but like make it more pithy or something like that, right? Or like they should be sort of teasing each other.
I spelled the skull wrong, but
well,
a neural echo can now tap in the neural network of the skull to predict an enemy movements by reading faint mental imprints. The time slows briefly during enemy attacks, allowing the player
to... I see. It's like trying to come up with ways that it could be used in combat.
What is this little thing that popped up?
I don't know.
That was interesting. The Nova ability. Devastating area-wide explosion of biolumo energy.
Yikes. Like I had, because we talked about it like...
Bioluminal. Did you use that word in there?
Mm-mm. Because we talked about the skull like being able to like power his weapon, right? And I was almost like, oh, does he find like an old like 22 rifle or something like that in the office or in the secret, lab of Decker's, and like somehow the skull adds to it and makes it like a crazy like gun that is enhanced by it. So it was like writing things like that into it about like how the skull was going
The skull of Andarix. An alien artifact buried deep in the Rocky Mountains, attached to their modified pulse rifle known as the plasma spitter.
Man, MK2. I love it.
No, I think what it does is it gives you some like some things to think about. Like here's what it could do. The skull of Andarix is great though.
Yeah.
Energy absorption. Ultimate attack, rift barrage. See, this is if we get to like Game Maker and we really want to create some like crazy.
Yeah, I think it's almost thinking about it like that, right? It's like it's almost saying like, oh, it's like a Contra, right? Like you need different types of weapons, and how does the skull power those? And
it's a double-edged sword. Alien consciousness within the skull begins to influence Bob's thoughts. Ooh,
creating tension between their goal. It's like these are the weird things that we need more of.
All right, no, I'm gonna try a different prompt. So let's say that I'm just gonna fix this one up. I just want to try it out. When D and Roby, God, I can't type today, and Roby need to discuss. Did you put the story in there?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Bathroom. Let's talk about that.
You know what I didn't put in, and I kept having to tell it, is I was like, when you write dialogue, this is for a Game Boy game, so there can only be a certain amount of characters on the screen. And because it was like too long, right? You're like, oh man, I don't need 4 sentences to say that. I was like, keep it under 70 characters, I think is what I said, for like each back and forth.
Dialogue. All right, let's just try this. I just wanted to see like how it puts together some. Depends about this rent again, because I told you I'm waiting on Zyla to pay me back.
Man, this is like it's like they're on a space station.
I mean, I like the idea that you could tap in and it pulls in our characters. I mean, I did say Roby and D though.
I mean, it's Roby and D.
Oh, and then there's a choice. This is like
and I feel like this is where it keeps picking up adventure game, that like that's part of the adventure game. You're like, no, it's not really.
We could do some choices though.
Can you do that?
I mean, we could do it to where if you pick to go, like let's say it's like you could clean the bathroom or go to the alley,
right? And then just either one.
And then you do one of them, but then we'd have to figure out, like it'd still have to be linear at some point.
Yeah.
Like you could go that way, or could you skip a place? I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't think you would want it that.
Because it just means you'd have to build a crap load more.
You would just have to build a crap load more. But I mean, for a more advanced game, like if we were doing this in, Game Maker or something like that, I could see that.
Oh, wait a second. I meant it in like a. Oh, did they just think Decker was D?
I don't know.
There are small hints
maybe.
thinking that Decker might care about Roby more than they're willing to admit. For example, optional dialogue of Zyla's outpost. I love Zyla being coming into this. Wait, the lying on the couch thing during a quiet moment in the parlor can be found asleep on the couch.
I feel like you shouldn't have put Decker, and I feel like that needs to be a new prompt.
All All right, we're gonna have to look at that prompt and see what we could do to get some of the Game Boy stuff out.
But do you remember? On the 24-hour stream we were talking to the librarian.
Yeah.
And he was talking about writing stuff and doing things, and there was that like AI that was
Novella,
specifically
yeah.
for writing stuff.
For sure.
So I was sort of thinking like, oh man, that might be worth it to try to like plug in some stuff to that one that is like very specific for writing characters and doing things. Then it might do better.
It does this, and then it builds the backstory. Actually, it would do. I don't remember what that other one was that you had. It would create this. Like you could create the character, then you can fill these details into that one character, and you can keep building on that character. They're like these sub aspects of it. And so then when you're like, when Roby and Decker come together, it would go look and pull out the like details of that and then put them together.
Yeah. And I almost think it might even be nice to, I don't know. I feel like we need sort of a style or something. We need like a style sheet for these types of things because we don't know exactly like how, is it like clerks dialogue back and forth, right? Or is it, I mean, it could be a bunch of different styles, right? And so I feel like if we had some reference, like if we wanted to say, oh, it's like this style of, movie or cartoon or characters that we've seen before, I feel like that might help us because we're both going to be writing dialogue, right? And so it'll be good if there's like some cohesion between what I write and what you write. Even if we're sort of, we know the story, we know the basic story, right? But if we don't have some of that, we're going to be writing things that are wildly sort of different.
I want to see how you did the prompt. You should share that with me because I can't get to it. And then that way we can look at the prompt together and see if we can build some things. One of the things that I found is I found some tricks on how you can like format it. Did you format it different, or is it just like words?
For like me asking
in
for
the prompt
stuff?
Yeah, like when you created the Chat GPT prompt, like is it just like a bunch of paragraphs, or do you have delimiters or things that are in between them? Like,
well, so on a GPT one like this, like you're giving it documents, and I gave it this Excel spreadsheet.
Because you can you can put the spreadsheets, but you can put a prompt in there too.
You can tell it, you're like, here's some things to think about and some things not to do and things to do. And that's where I was adding in things like, this is in Colorado. It's in 2010. You're helping us write dialogue for this and brainstorm ideas. Like that was kind of because there's sort of like you upload documents, right? But then you also, can just give it, I don't even know how many characters you can give it, but it's sort of at the top, and it's like, all right, tell me the things this chatbot should do and things it shouldn't do. And so that's why I started giving it some of that stuff.
I know I can't get to your version of it. Let me go in one of my
look,
GPTs.
Explore, and then like click on Skullbob's lore, and then like that one.
Yeah, but
and then click up there, and can you edit?
I can't because I don't have access to it. But what I was going to do is, let me just show you, I don't know if I showed you this one. All right. This is I'm going to swap back over to showing it. So this is not the Skullbob's one. And what I wanted to show you is that, like, I figured out some ways that you can split it out and you really get some very specific things. Like if you wanted a dialogue very specific to Game Boy, there might be a couple chats that you put in there. And so then I was super directive, like it was coding it and saying, this is exactly what you should do. And like, here is the style sheet for this. You're going to always do this for everything. Then I go into saying, like, when you format stuff, it's going to look exactly like this. And these are all the different dimensions. So this is like a pretty massive prompt. And then I started using like attached document. See how I put this little, use this attached document for tips, tricks, and additional things. And like important, I don't know why I'm missing some things. Oh, important instructions. So I put this around it like it was like saying this is the important part of this. And I've been creating some other GPTs like this, and then I did put in documents that you can add to it. I would love to put in some of this part of the prompt and work with you on
Sure.
like what this would look like, because I guarantee we could say, here are things you should not do. And then we'd be like, do not create characters. Even though this is a adventure story, we're
Right.
not adding to the story in a different capacity. We're going to create these. The story, the characters that we've created are the only ones that we would interact with each other.
Right.
And then I would put the characters in this area here. I'd say then the following things are going to be characters. So imagine you just said, this is the character for D, like character dash D. And then you'd have these like, do you see how what I mean by this is wrapping those two things? It's like HTML in a way. So this is the starter one. We're saying attach document. And then this is like where it ends or whatnot. You could probably
Right.
put start end. But you'd put each character into this prompt. I found that this prompt is a little bit more specific than
The attached documents.
the other attached documents prompt. And this one, I haven't found a limit yet, but if I were to go in here and let me just give you an example, like how this prompt works. Tell me, okay, what's something that you might do in like Adobe or something? Let's try that. Let's say, how to erase background. Oops. Photoshop.
Cool.
So what this is this is a knowledge base creator, but I just wanted to give you an example of like how this prompt then ends up working. So it takes out all the stuff and it's like, and say, okay, I'm going to create your entire, and like every time I do this, it gives me this exact
right.
like rundown of how it would work. It will give me the title, give me the instructions applicable, a prerequisite section. It'll do the instructions. It'll make every like action italics, everything out with a
right.
bold. It'll go down to outcomes at the end.
Yeah.
So I think we could create a couple of them. So you'd be like Skull Bob's dialogue creator, Skull Bob's like lore, like story helper,
Brainstorming,
and then,
like helper.
and then you can. So then we just like split it up into a couple different things. And so if it's a dialogue helper, we're creating the character sets in there. We then establish some details around, okay, here's how long it can be. We don't want conversations to go more than a back and forth of 10 times. And they have this many characters per dialogue that can happen into that.
Right.
And I just think we can tune it in a little bit.
Totally. Like, and I feel like it's always one of those things where it pumps out a bunch. It's like 70% garbage, right? And then so you kind of go like, oh, okay, I'm gonna take this line or these lines.
Okay, see how much I put in for this one. It was like how to erase a background in Photoshop. Let's see if this has worked. Select object selection tool. Click the select and mask button. I mean, I guess this would be real things online. This will open the select mask workspace. Adjust the transparency slider. Selection tool. I don't know if these would be the actual ways that you could do that. Erase a background.
I guess so.
In my point was I've had a lot of success working on the prompt for like days and putting it through, testing it, seeing what it's doing, going back and forth between the prompts to make that happen.
Okay.
So the only reason I say any of that is that I think that we got a good thing with the chat thing. You just can't put all of it together into one space is what I'm finding.
Yeah.
If we can start to differentiate it into like, and so what would we need? Dialogue creator?
And like, I think like story brainstorming.
Okay,
right?
so a brainstorming one.
Like, which would be more kind of, I imagine it would be slightly more creative at that point. Like, you wouldn't want it to say, oh, don't come up with any new situations or new anything, right? You'd be like, no, maybe Zorlax is super fun to have that as a planet that he was from or whatever. Like, helping in that way. I think you could do that.
Story idea generator or something?
Yeah. Like something that just helps us, like, it knows the characters, but it's trying to help. I don't know what else. I don't know what else there would be. I know it was fun to ask it things about, like, or I think we should do, like backstory stuff or setting or, like, I thought, if we have, we have 20 minutes left, we should do the what was fun about 2010 because I did want to hear like about that, because that would be sort of like, oh well, like pop culture stuff can we add in, or what technology was going on then that we could have be fun. But I don't even know if that needs to be for our specific.
Yeah, I don't think we need to probably make a specific one. You can just like ask the thing that.
Totally.
Okay, let's go back to. Let's do this. I wanted the. It's been a minute since I actually played the game. Because when did you play it last?
A couple days ago.
Okay. I just wanted to. There was something you were saying with the dialogue. So I had my brother play this, and as he started to go through some aspects of it, he was like, we've been talking about the story, we've been talking all that. Are we confident that we got the fun factor? Did we get the 5 seconds or 15 seconds of what Roby's actually doing fun? Because otherwise this is it is a story, right? Mm-hmm. And so is it fun to go talk a lot? Because when my brother played it, and he's played a lot of Game Boy games, and this is something I've been truly thinking about. Is there a button that says no dialogue, you just get to play the game?
I don't think that we're gonna have enough. Like, we would have to make longer, more challenging like basement levels or sewer levels to have it, because like right now it's more like adventure game in the sense that like the whole point is sort of the story and you being excited about hearing more of the story than it is about, and then there are fun little challenging bits in between, right, that sort of do it, as opposed to a gigantic, long, amazing, like challenging platforming bit that then has a tiny bit of story at the end, right? Like, I feel like those are kind of the two types of games that there are, and we're leaning more towards story than we are platforming.
Couldn't it be like there's story areas and then there's like fairly large platforming areas?
Yeah, I mean, if we want to make these sections longer, right? Because then you're just like, it's a longer game at that point. So you're like, okay, these parts are longer, and now maybe instead of like 4 of these, or 2 of these little levels that we have right here, like there's more like 15 of these levels, right? That are different sort of platforming areas where you're in the basement and you're not really even interacting with the story all that much.
I think these could be I like this part. It is the fun part of like getting through these and getting the little, I guess, papers and finding the story beats in these little sections. There's something about the platforming that I was like trying to tune into that I think can be fun. And if we can get this enough that there's like a fun little puzzle to it, I just want to make sure we're nailing in like the full scope of what we. Oh, I got up there. Nice. Shit. Never mind. I did it.
It's hard. It's hard on a keyboard.
It is. Anyways, I kind of like the idea of creating some of these parts. All right. I do have something that we should do, and we have to have this conversation, and it's the freaking music conversation.
Great. Oh, yes.
So we have been working with a gentleman. We hired him for the music, and so here's what we should do is he has the intro music. What I want to do is listen to it right now with maybe that title over it, and then try to get some insights on what we think. Because you and I haven't had a chance to talk about it.
No, that's true. I totally forgot about it.
All right, let me do this. I'm going to bring in... So he's in the Discord right now. His name's Robot Meadows, if you see him around. And there's been a couple things that we did. So we created music during the 24-hour stream, and I know you can't see this. And so I'm going to start with like our ideas, and I did share it with him, and it looks like he thumbs upped it.
Yeah.
So he is waiting for us to give some damn feedback. It is.
I know it's been 2 weeks.
2 weeks. We need to give him some feedback. So let's listen to this. This is the first drop of the main theme demo, but I want to make sure the game builds, and then we can kind of put it over that title screen.
Is it going to play its own music? I guess
we don't have any music on ours. Okay, so, oops, that went a little tall.
And now the animation's done.
Well, I didn't care about the animation as much. So, like, let's say you're at this screen, because this is the title screen, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's simple at this point. Like, there you go.
It has like Castlevania vibes to it. I feel like.
He went with the Double Dragon.
Yeah.
That we originally had said. So Double Dragon came from one of our earlier podcasts that we were our streams. We went through it and we were like, as we played the games, we were like, it's got to be like Double Dragon a bit.
Okay.
But there's an intensity to the Double Dragon that's a little too much, right?
Okay.
Like, because it feels like it's like super action, like you got to go punch it up
Right.
and do some work with that. I wish I should build in a way that I could just like restart that animation without having to restart and rebuild the game. Because what he was thinking was, and why here, I'm just gonna pull it over even if it's small. I don't know why it doesn't build on this screen. The first little back and forth is he's thinking it might be some alien sounds, and that's why he doesn't have the beat hit right away. If that makes sense. So I feel like it's gonna come soon. This is dramatic. So what happens is we build the game. For some reason, it takes way longer than must have been an update to the game itself. I can't put what he created because it's an MP3. It's not the right format to throw into the game yet.
Oh, okay.
It is such a weird thing that it takes so long. It used to be like instantaneous. Once you've done it once, then it would do it before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pull it over there and hit the play button right when it hits. Or maybe I'll do it opposite. I'll hit play button.
Nice. Right? Let's listen to the whole thing. Yeah, we should play a little bit. Like, this would be in the background.
It could be. And it kicks back over. And
Okay.
It repeats.
Okay. All right. So your reactions. What do you want to do? Likes? What do you like about it?
I think we
first?
should do both. And yeah. So first of all, I like the depth of it, and maybe what we could do is we could kind of replace some parts. So he even stated this first part is placeholder.
Right.
And he's thinking this is actually just sitting on the intro screen.
Yeah.
This isn't really the gameplay part.
Right.
Title screen, going in menus, just kind of sitting in that set.
Okay.
So the grandfather's story might come over this.
Right.
You're reading through all those portions.
Yeah.
So if you just left it here, essentially. I love that. Okay, so I I do like that there is kind of like a upbeatness to it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want the game to be super like overly dark.
Dour.
Remember
Yeah.
how when we had the original, there was a song I threw in there and it sounded kind of like, I don't know, it was trying to be sci-fi-esque and it was a little downer. This one doesn't feel that way.
So upbeat.
I like the upbeat. Now the intensity of it,
Right.
I don't think it would fit with the flow of the game, because that like hypes you like you want to go fight something.
Right. Yeah, it does. It does still feel. It has some of that double drop down, or that has that some of that
Or double
Castlevania-
drop down?
Double drop down.
Double dragon.
Double dragon. that has like, yeah, it's like really pushing you forward, right? I feel like our style is a little bit more mysterious, right? Is a little bit more slower paced than this one is. But I agree with you. I like sort of the different layers that it goes through. Like it goes sort of up into a thing and then down into that. It's like interesting throughout the entire part of it. There's like a point at like 1 minute in, like maybe, yeah, do like 50 seconds. Like, but I feel like that is like too adventure-y at that point. Like, it's a little bit, I feel like ours is sort of like a sci-fi mystery.
So what would you say at so at that point, what would you expect to happen?
Like, maybe just not as quick, I guess, if that's, I'm bad with like music,
So at that part, because is it like Zelda-esque?
Well, because I feel like it is a little bit Zelda-esque in that way. We almost need like, hey, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
So I mean, and maybe other people could like give their opinions too, like what they think of that. I just feel like it's a little bit, like you said, a little bit too actiony for this, for like the setup of our game, which is a little bit more like mysterious and kind of like more like deliberate in the like pacing of it, right? It's like, it's not an action game where you're like constantly doing things like that. It's a little bit more reserved and sort of like stuff in the background. I like that like where it sort of does like in the background. I always like that because that sort of sounds like mysterious things happening. I don't know. These are terrible. Like,
so here's what he says. He's like 7 seconds is when the actual theme kicks in.
Right.
And so he took the double drop, double dragon portion and having that energy and like the grooviness of it. And
right.
so
I like groovy.
So here's what he's talking about. Like, I like that part. I do.
Yeah. But maybe, like Mike Azul was saying, like maybe this is more like when the boss hits or something, right?
I mean, that little part of da-da-da-da-da, like, because I'm thinking this is an intro again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, but what did he say? He says, but also, I'm going to read what he says here. It says, the actual theme kicks in at 7 seconds. I tried to find a balance between the double dragon adventure energy and having it be groovy, but also not have it be a total super energetic final boss kind of chiptune. The song basically has an intro, 2 sections, and a short extra at the end that sets up the loop. And then he's saying section A, that's from about 23 seconds to about 53 seconds. That's about 20 seconds or so here, is the first section. It's groovy with a slight hint of mystery and darkness. So let's
listen to that. Start at 23, yeah.
Okay, so that was the
That was like the
grooves.
groovy, and I feel like. So, what do you think about that part?
I like that part.
Yeah, I like that part. I feel like it's slightly slower and slightly like it does have that sort of groovy, sort of mysterious vibe to it. Yeah, I like that part.
Section B, this is where we're about to listen to 52 to a minute. So it's the last. This is, I think, the part that we're debating on, where it turns into adventure.
Yeah.
And I think what my 2 cents on it are, number one, I like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, like in a sense,
Totally.
it sounds amazing. Where I think when we apply it to what we're trying to capture in our game, it sounds like it goes Zelda.
Yeah.
Where we're trying to make it maybe go like a sci-fi.
Maniac Mansion.
Yeah, like a different. So here's what it goes.
Yeah, because this sounds Zelda.
Like Zelda-esque right there. And so the problem that I think you and I have is we're bad at the music side.
Totally.
And so
Or like in explaining it.
in explaining what we're trying to say, and it's like it might be. I always imagine this. You creating the sweet logo and somebody just being like, well, can't you just like turn that one part red?
Well, I'm very conscious of feedback for creative endeavors, and trying to be like specific to, and it's like hard. It's hard for things where I don't have the vocabulary for it.
So let's do this. We're gonna listen to this one. How much time is it? We have 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
We'll listen to his beat at the very end of this. So we listened to it a couple times, and I think in an overarching sense, if we can get to section B, and maybe not make it have the adventure like Zelda, but more like an adventure. Like it almost has to be the alien part right there.
Okay.
So the adventure is that you've just now stepped into some weird alien ship.
Yeah. So maybe we're saying like, section A, we sort of we dig that part the best, and then maybe just instead of the adventure part it leading into, think of try a different thing for that part that's more leans into that more like mysterious side, alien side.
And so here's what we created in Suno during the 24-hour stream, and we're not going to listen to 3 minutes of each of these.
3:45 of each of these.
We'll get some vibes on it and scrub through some of it. So these are not created by him, and these are AI stuff, and we're just using it as inspirato, if you will.
Totally.
And if it's not going to be chiptune,
right? I was gonna say because like some of this isn't could never be the music,
and you could chip tune it. But there's some. It was very dreamy. We were thinking you're in the tavern at this point.
Yeah.
The speed of it.
Yeah, it's a little more deliberate, right? And like it's revealing something.
And when we were in here, we were like.
That's maybe even a little anthem-y.
It is.
It's like Imagine Dragons is gonna start singing.
And let's go a little further deep into it then. It still has a little too much speed to it. But see, it's like mysterious.
Right.
Mysterious. You're
It's like I could hear it in the Imagine Dragons voice.
Okay, so that was one of them. Alien ship. That little.
Yeah, it's like those like weird flourishes, right? Where you're like, what the hell is that?
And I think we used some of the same seed for some of this. That's what. And so that's further on.
And that's even like almost same sort of too adventure-y.
So this next one I really like too, and we're actually, these are just extensions. So we're just trying to give you like vibes of other stages, because as we think to build this out, if we can get some of the vibes, the brewery one was one of my favorites, because imagine yourself going into like a very industrial factory kind of sense, and
wider open.
like the
Yeah.
because you think about like I'm just imagining like machines and
Totally.
steam and like,
Right,
all the
yeah.
things coming out.
Like spraying down into it and filling thousands of bottles as they go through. But then like also you're there for a weird reason.
It has that slow foreboding.
Right.
Oops. Okay, so that gives us some vibes
Yeah.
for it. Like, and I think the first two, I agree. Imagine Dragons. Damn it! Now I can't get it. It's just that first part that does that.
It's right when it drops the thing when it goes.
All right, I know we're at time, so let's finish on his work.
Yeah.
That gave us some amazing stuff.
Totally.
To kind
and
of
I feel like he did a great. We did a bad job of telling him the things that we were doing too. Like at some point, like we were just like Double Dragon and this one thing.
And then we did show part of the 24-hour stream. So,
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
Right.
let's do. Okay, actually, the best way to do this would be like this. We go to options. We're gonna exit the game. And I will hit play.
Yeah.
I like that part, honestly. So that I think this is the part where if it could go
like a little bit more mysterious.
Mysterious
it's almost
and
like,
creepy.
It's almost like he had the original part is like the slowest part, and then it went faster, right? And we were almost and I'm thinking it's almost like the middle part is the fastest part, and it needs to be either that part slower and then the next part, that speed, or just
it could even be not a speed thing, but just so I think this is good feedback,
Yeah.
and maybe now we could both get into this chat with him and have
Totally.
this conversation. But when it gets to this part, it almost needs to be not flute from Zelda. It reminds me of a flute or something.
Yeah, totally.
But like some other, it has to go down instead of up,
Right.
and maybe a little bit more disjointed.
Yeah. Yeah, like a theremin.
Theremin. I was thinking of the same damn word. Man, we're so bad at music. I'm so glad we hired somebody to help us with this. So,
Yeah.
all right, it has been fun to hang out with y'all tonight. Thanks for listening to
Yeah.
us yap about a bunch of AI.
Totally.
And I love this because now we're deep into it.
Yeah.
You get to see us like skimmer across the tops,
Yeah.
create the game. Now we're making the magic. Thanks for your input. Thanks
Yeah.
for your insights.
Totally.
Thanks for the Imagine Dragons. We got a new time follower out there. Thank you. We got a couple other
Appreciate
folks
you
that jumped
all.
in.
Appreciate
I
you
think
all.
we're up to like 71 or 72 people following. So
Nice.
thank
and
you.
it was episode
everyone.
69. Great episode 69. Nice.
All right, 69. All right, everyone. You guys have a good night.
All right.
Peace
Have
out.
a good hangout. Later.